I came here because of who Clint and Andrew and Rick Dennison are as people, and that hasn't changed. And so that's a big, encouragement for me to know that I'm with coaches that I really feel good about, and that's a big part of having success in this league.
I think the balance of the offense, and as a quarterback, this is pretty basic, but the pass is sexy, but I believe that the outside zone scheme and schematics of the run that comes from the Shanahan tree is a great system, and it really complements off each other. It lets the offensive line and their talents shine. It lets the running backs and their talents shine, and at the end of the day, the game is built on the run.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
And as we come into the sounds of the quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza talking about the offensive coaches, the offensive scheme. Cousins in particular being familiar with it with his time that he spent with Clint Kubiak there in Minnesota. And obviously Fernando Mendoza is learning it on the daily, learned it at OTAs, learned it in mandatory minicamp, and is getting more and more familiar with it each and every day and getting comfortable with it each and every day. And that's the only goal that you can have, is to continue to get comfortable, continue to grow in the system, and prepare yourself for the beginning of the regular season, which is coming up against Miami. It's going to be here sooner rather than later, and we'll be talking about not training camp, not practices, not preseason games, but we'll be talking about the regular season game as the season opens up with the Miami Dolphins at the house at Allegiant Stadium. It is Unnecessary Roughness here. Raider Nation Radio 920, 2 days officially of training camp in the books. 2 days with 100% attendance, right? And we know, we're not foolish. We know that will not be the same throughout the whole course of training camp and preseason. It's just one of those things. It's football, and you know how football goes. But it's nice to see all the Raiders out there and putting in the work and trying to get better, day by day, process by process, or like they say, brick by brick, right? That's what they're trying to build one day at a time. Today's practice was a little bit longer than yesterday's practice, and I think we're going to continue to see them ramp up and get themselves prepared when they put the pads on in a few days or a few practices from now. So, big show lined up for you as we always do. Excited for the opportunity to be with you as we always are. Vinny Bonsignore, he joins us each and every Thursday at 2:30. He'll join us at 2:30. We'll talk all things silver and black, get his thoughts on the first couple days of training camp as far as just what this team, how they're trying to ramp up, what he expects to be the next phase as they get ready to get into pads, which will be next week, and just kind of how he wants to see this thing develop. And of course, we'll spend a lot of time talking about the coaches scheme, and more. Vinny Bonsignore joins us coming up at 2:30. We'll also ask him the questions and thoughts on Vita Vea, even though it's been one of those conversations that to me feels like it's really, a dead subject at this stage of the game. But until something happens one way or the other, whether it's in Tampa Bay and they get a deal done or he gets dealt and ends up somewhere else, it's going to be a conversation that'll probably be at the back of at least everybody's mind. So Vinny Bonsignore, will treat him as our Raider insider, and we'll let him give us his thoughts coming up at 2:30. At 3 o'clock, Tyler Dragon from USA Today Sports. He'll join the show, and he has a piece out right now about AFC West predictions. And if the Kansas City Chiefs could take that spot back over that the Denver Broncos had last year. And it's so funny, I got into this conversation last night with Emmett Golden on ESPN Radio on Game Night, where so many people just assume that, Patrick Mahomes is going to be back, he's going to be healthy, he's going to be good to go week one, and the Chiefs are going to win the division again. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, hold on. He wasn't playing that great before he got injured last year. I mean, remember, this is a team that won 6 games, and I don't expect the Chiefs to win 6 games again this year, but so many people are just assuming and just putting them in red ink that they're all of a sudden going to be some great team, and they're going to be back to being that Chiefs team that dominated the AFC West for so long. And I'm not saying that the Broncos have a stranglehold on the division. I sure as hell ain't saying the Chargers have a stranglehold on the division, but I say it all the time. I feel like it's really wide open like some old school TV antennas, right? I don't think that any of those 3 teams that I just said should be clear-cut favorites to win it. Like, it should be a close race between all 3 of those teams. And, oh, by the way, the Raiders will have something to say about that, right? I mean, we talk about it all the time, what you do in the division. If they can go 500 in the division, and I know they obviously have not done that in quite a while. They only won 1 game in the division last year. That was the last game of the season. But if they can go 500 in the division, all of a sudden the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Chiefs are all going to be affected. So it was so funny. It's just like everyone just assumes, Pat's going to be Pat. He's going to be fine. So is he the only one that doesn't have, any lingering effects from injuries? Is he the only one that puts the magic pixie dust on his knee and all of a sudden everything's fine? He's the only one that doesn't think about his injuries and it gets in between his ears like every other athlete when they're coming back from injury? Is he the only one that's exempt from all of that? Like, if so, give me whatever he's drinking. Let me drink from that fountain of youth. Right? I mean, and again, I don't root for guys to be injured. I don't need to root for guys to fail. Failure happens too many times anyway, and Pat's never going to fail. But I'm just not going to assume that he's just going to get right back into the starting lineup and be just, hey, it's same old Pat. Same old Pat. And, oh, hey, the Chiefs team that doesn't have a whole lot of, weapons outside of Travis Kelce. Oh, they'll be fine. Nothing to see here. They picked up Kenneth Walker. They're all good. They don't even run the ball. Now maybe they do run the ball now that they have a running back. But until I see it, I won't believe it. That's why I'm so intrigued by the Raiders playing in Week 4. Because I'm not convinced by Week 4 that Patrick Mahomes is going to be, in air quotes, Patrick Mahomes. I'm not. So it's perfect timing that Tyler dropped his AFC West predictions. We'll talk to him about that. And I really want to get his evaluation, his breakdown, and how he thinks this division will go. I know nobody's picking the Raiders to win the division. I'd be foolish if I said that. But I do think they're going to make some noise and make it pretty difficult on whoever is going to eventually win that division. And I mean, we see worse to first all the time, but I'm not trying to throw that out there and act like that's where I feel like the Raiders are trending right now. I'd like to see a whole lot more before I ever went in that direction. So Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports, he'll join us coming up at 3:00. And then Max Chadwick from Pro Football Focus, he'll join us at 3:30. He's got a piece out right now on offensive lines and tackle rankings in particular. The top 32 players ahead of the 2026 NFL season when it comes to tackles. Kolton Miller is on that list. And really, I, of course, want to ask him about Kolton Miller and, where he has him ranked and why, but really want to talk to him about the offensive line in general. The offensive line has been a theme of ours here on the show for quite a while, something to pay attention to during training camp, see how that competition shapes out. So I just kind of want to get his thoughts on what he thinks the offensive line could look like with this Raiders team, with the new pieces that are in place, with the new coaching that is in place, and what does that mean for the offense? How good can Kirk Cousins be? How good can Fernando Mendoza be? How good can Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Ashton Genty? How good can all those guys be in this Clint Kubiak-led system, as long as the O-line is where it needs to be, and kind of where does he think that needs to be when it comes to the Pro Football Focus numbers, and we'll just kind of get his analytical side of view and thoughts on that. So Max Chadwick, PFF Pro Football Focus, will join us coming up at 3:30. Of course, we'll hear from you throughout the course of the show at 702-365-9200, as we always do, text line and phone line. And a really busy day today over at the Raiders facility, which was really cool. And my day, Ari, I don't know, I think I told you, but, man, my day started super early this morning. Our good friend Ari Mayrob from 33team.com, he was doing the NFL spotlights, but he's doing every single team across the league. So all 32 teams he's spotlighting. And so I joined him this morning at 6 a.m., and we talked for like 40 or 45 minutes, all things silver and black. So that'll come out tomorrow. That was actually a lot of fun catching up. It's always funny because he's always on our show, and so he flipped it around and had me on his show. So that'll come out tomorrow, so it'll give you a little bit more to check out and look in and watch if you so choose to. But it was a lot of fun catching up with our guy, Ari Mayrob, 33team.com, talking all things Raiders, AFC West, and that'll drop tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that little NFL spotlight from our good friend of the show. Ari, do we have winning on the way?
Not quite, but we do have the word of the day, which
okay, well, why don't
is
you go ahead
winning,
and do that.
So
go ahead.
That word, you can text 702-365-9200. It is a trip to Grand Canyon in Sedona this week. Pretty cool, where you get $3,000 cash. Big shout-out to Terribles for that. And the word of the day is country, Country. Country.
There you go. No wonder I saw a text from Richard that says county.
That's funny, of course.
You almost got there, Richard. You almost got there. You were 1 R away from being where you need to be. Right, exactly. So there you go. Country, go ahead and make sure you text that in, 702-365-9200. Don't forget, I will be at TI, the Golden Circle Sportsbook, coming up tomorrow. So a very busy day. We'll leave from the facility, head to the radio station, then boom, head to TI, 2 to 5 p.m. on your Friday. So if you're in and around town, definitely come on by, hang out. Parking is always free. They've got the betting kiosk. They've got all the games there, everything that you want. You can imagine happy hour, great drink specials, great food specials. One of my favorite places to do shows from. Like, no joke, no kidding, no BS. So definitely come on by, and really you can make it a day. JT is going to be at the Grimaldi's on Eastern, so you can go by there if you want and check out JT. And, he may have some Raider alumni that's showing up. Little Birdie said he will, but we're not 100% sure yet, but that would be really cool. So make sure you go check him out. And then sometime between 2 and 5, you can slide on by Treasure Island, TI, the Golden Circle Sportsbook, and say what's up to me. And I will be giving out AC/DC tickets at the event. So somehow, some way, we'll get those to you so you can go enjoy them at Allegiant Stadium. So as you can tell, man, we got a lot coming up in the next couple of days. We're excited about the opportunity. Vinny Bonsignore at 2:30, Tyler Dragon at 3, Max Chadwick at 3:30, and, of course, we'll hear from you as well. Before we get into the opening drive, we got to hear from our guy E-Rob. Yesterday was important. The weekend is always important, but today is important. And why is that?
Because every day matters. The older you get, the more you start appreciating day in and day out, because I can't get that time back. I'm in the business of saying, not if I would have did this or if I would have did that. I'm in the business of now.
I'm in the business of now as well. So right now, let's go ahead and jump into the opening drive.
The opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM is brought to you by Paul Patta Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
So I wanted to get into a conversation about the Raiders offense. They did a really good job today, in my opinion, at training camp. I feel like the offense, if we're going to talk about one a day, I would say the offense won the day today. And again, remember, just take it with a grain of salt. There's no pads on right now, but for what they're doing and from where they were yesterday to where they were today, I thought you saw a lot more efficient offense from the Raiders. And, of course, everyone's going to want to know, well, what did Fernando look like? He was surgical. I think that's the best way for me to put it. He was surgical. I think two of his passes hit the ground at most. And he was just spot on. There was a time that Sam Gordon from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, I was standing next to him talking for a while and watching the practice, and he looked over and said, do you remember the last time Fernando threw an incompletion? And I was like, I don't think he's thrown one. And it was so funny because when he said that, I said, to be honest, we better not say that loud. We better treat it like it's a no-hitter in baseball, right? You don't speak on the no-hitter because you don't want to jinx it. I was like, man, we might not want to say anything. But he looked really good. He looked really good. His throws looked really accurate. Yesterday I thought he threw the ball behind some of his receivers. It looked like he was thinking a little bit when it came to being under center. Today you could see it be better. And so day one, you're expecting a little bit of rust, right? I mean, he literally hasn't been out there in that setting for, 5 or 6 weeks when they broke mandatory minicamp to all the way up to training camp. So, you expect a little bit of rust. But today I thought looked a lot better. We actually got to talk to Fernando Mendoza following practice as well, and he had a lot of really good things to say, as he always does, right? He's one of those guys that he never rushes through any answers. He always gives you a real thought-out answer, and he did just that. And I can't tell you how long we even talked to him. It was probably felt like it was about 12 or 13 minutes. Seemed like he went pretty long. But that's just kind of how it goes, and we could definitely, respect that. But you could tell he's getting more comfortable, and as he said, he still has a long way to go. But I did want you to hear what Fernando Mendoza had to say about his growth and the Kubiak offense.
During that break, how did you make sure that when you were learning just the playbook and all that you retained that information as you were getting ready for training camp?
I've learned a lot, especially from the coaches and the quarterbacks in the room, the way that Kirk and Aiden, the intellect that they have, and the way, especially that Kirk, the way that he diagrams and the way that he draws out plays and sorts them in different groups, whether it's play actions, bad hot plays, 3x1 level concepts, whatever it is, the way he groups them and kind of, you see the Kubiak system, which is a fantastic system, mold together. It gave me a better understanding, and I know the other rookies, a better understanding of the why behind the offense, why run this play, and we're complementing it with this. So it was a good moment. I still have a long way to go. I feel more comfortable, but I am nowhere near where I need to be, especially with learning the playbook, and I still need to go a lot longer and attack the playbook harder. So I'm still ways away, but I feel like I'm more comfortable from day two, especially from day one.
You mentioned Kubiak and his offense, and it's awesome. What is it that stands out to you about that offense?
I think the balance of the offense, and as a quarterback, this is pretty basic, but the pass is sexy, but I believe that the outside zone scheme and schematics of the run that comes from, the Shanahan tree is a great system, and it really complements off each other. It lets the offensive line and their talents shine. It lets the running backs and their talents shine. And at the end of the day,
the game is built on the run.
So you can tell Fernando Mendoza is getting comfortable. He can feel his own growth in this offense, and he really likes the Kubiak offense. That's why I doubled down and said, okay, well, what is it about the offense that you like? And you heard his answer right there. You heard a little bit of his answer as we started up and opened up the show here on Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920. And I wanted to go ahead and when he pointed that out, it caught my attention. I thought, well, what does Raider Nation like about this offense? What does this offense do for you? How excited do you get based off of the guy that's calling the shots in Clint Kubiak? And what I mean by that, when they were going through the coaching hire cycle and process, we obviously knew that the Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback, was going to be coming in. And so there's some debate. Do you go get a defensive-minded coach? Do you get an offensive-minded coach? No, you go get an offensive-minded coach so he can grow with the quarterback. That's exactly what the Raiders did. But what is it about this offense that gets you fired up, gets you excited, makes you feel like, yes, this is going to work? Because I'll tell you, I think this offense is going to be really good. I really do. And, I mean, I guess when you average 14 points a game like they did last year, you can't do anything but go up. But to me, I feel like that this offense has a chance to be real good, knowing what they do in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, knowing what Sean McVay does in L.A. with the Rams, and feeling like you're going to get some of that, some of what we saw in Seattle, even some of what we saw in New Orleans and Minnesota with Clint Kubiak, and putting the right guys in a position to succeed. Right? We've heard all the the red flags that they throw out there. Well, the Raiders don't have that number one wide receiver. Well, they don't have this. Well, they don't have that. But what they do have, how do you expect that to go? Like, how do you envision this offense? And what really gets me excited about this offense is the fact that, one, I believe it's going to be very competent. It's going to make a lot of sense, right? It's going to be able to use and accent the players that they have to the best of their abilities. It's not going to try to put a square peg into a round circle. And I feel like we've seen that way too many times. We've seen Raiders offenses that the rhyme and reason didn't make sense. It's like, wait, hold on. What are they trying to accomplish? I feel like everyone's pretty excited about the direction that this offense is going. And make no mistake about it, this is a team sport. You got to have the offense and the defense, right? But we know that Clint Kubiak is going to be very focused in on the offense and getting it where it needs to be and getting it right. That's something that we'll talk to Vinny Bonsignore about coming up at 2:30 when he joins the show. I've worded it before, like similar to Sean McVay when he took over with the Rams, right? Very focused in on the offensive side of things and making sure the defense handled their business as well, but let the defense, do their thing. He's got to get the offense right, and this offense needs to get right. This offense is not good. I mean, I rattled off the numbers the other day where they've been since 2020 per game. Per game. In 2020, they almost averaged 30 points per game. They were at 27. 2021, 22. 22, only 23 points per game. 23, 19 points per game. 24, 18 points per game. 25, 14 points per game. Like, it's been trending the wrong way for a while. And we do know that if the offense does what I believe it's going to do, which is going to be sustained drives, I think the quarterback's going to get the ball out of his hands pretty quickly. Yeah, they'll take shots at times, but I think it's going to be a very controlled offense, right? As you heard Fernando Mendoza talking about, it's built around the run. Yeah, the pass is sexy, but it's built on the run. That goes back to the big uglies up front, the offensive linemen. They do their job. The run game could get cooking. Talked to Ashton Genty today. He looks pretty excited about the opportunity that he's going to have this year in year two. He's already, adjusted his diet. Only year two in the league. You want to talk about maturity? Remember when John Spytek and company talk about high character guys that hold themselves accountable, guys that love football, guys that want to bring the best out of them? Ashton Genty in year two, actually in the offseason after year one, said, you know what? I need to fix my diet a little bit. I need to eliminate sugar from my diet. I need to do, and that's what he did. And he even said today that, I can feel the difference. My recovery's better. My body feels better. This is a young man. How often do we see young dudes in the league eat trash until they're, get older and they realize, I can't do that anymore? The dude has the maturity to understand that, I need to put myself even in a better position. And we've seen the results. What was it, Raider Dave that called in and was like, man, did you guys see Ashton jumping out the gym and dunking the ball? I mean, he looks like he is in fantastic shape. And again, he's only a second-year guy. Most of the time that, I got to take care of my body thing doesn't happen until like year 5, year 6. When you start getting a little bit older and realize, man, I ain't jumping out of bed as fast as I used to. I ain't doing this as fast as I used to. oh, man, my recovery time's a little bit slower. Ashton Jeanty had the wherewithal and the maturity and the accountability and the love for what he does and wants to be the best at what he does to the point where he said, I'm going to adjust myself right now. I got to give him a lot of credit for that, and I think he understands that he has a big he has a potential to have a big year in front of him. But if this offense does what I believe it's going to do, it's going to only make the defense better because it's going to allow them to, one, be on the sideline, rest, and two, they'll be more fresh when they have to have closing time. And it'll give them an opportunity to close, right? If they're actually scoring some points, it'll give Max a chance to close. It'll give Kwity Paye a chance to close. It'll give the guys in the secondary a chance to go make a play because they'll be throwing the ball, trying to either play catch up or take the lead. And then these guys can go and make a, jump a route, be comfortable. The other thing about this is, I'll take it one step further. If the offense can score and show some kind of consistency, the defense can take chances. Right? I mean, look, I say he's a wealth of knowledge all the time. This is more nuggets that Kirk Morrison dropped on me. He told me straight up, Q, these guys aren't going to jump routes because if they miss and blow it and give up a touchdown, the game's over. Because they know in their head the offense can't score. So we have to do everything to keep everything in front of us. We can't take the opportunity to go and try to take a chance and, oh, there's the ball, let me go try to go get it. Because if they miss and all of a sudden they give up a touchdown, then they've all of a sudden put their offense that can't score in harm's way. Think about it. If Eric Stokes tries to jump a route last year and he gets beat and they give up a touchdown, well, the Raiders only average 14 points per game. Hell, that's halfway to their average, right? And it makes sense. And, again, when someone who's been there in between the lines, in the huddle, in the locker room, is kind of telling you the mentality, that's why you listen. Right? I mean, you just nuggets on top of nuggets on top of nuggets, man. I couldn't pay Kirk for all the knowledge that he's dropped on me. I couldn't. It's priceless, but it makes sense. So if this offense is as good as I think it's going to have a chance to be, and I'm not saying it's going to be the number one offense in the league. I'm not crazy, right? It takes time. But if they look like, if they can be anywhere between 19 to 23 points a game, I'll take that. That's a hell of an opportunity. That's a big jump. And 19 points a game is not a lot, but it's a lot better than 14. If you can end up anywhere around there, anywhere between 19 and 23 points a game, have a very balanced offense, like Fernando Mendoza said, it's one of the things he likes about this Clint Kubiak offense. It's very balanced. If you can have a balanced offense, if you're not so predictable, you're giving yourself a chance. 702-365-9200. What did it excite you? What is it that get you fired up? When you knew Clint Kubiak was getting the job, you saw the offense that he ran in Seattle, New Orleans, Minnesota. What got you excited about this offense? Let me know your thoughts. 702-365-9200. Let's talk to my brother, Sentex Raider. Sentex, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Q, how's it going, buddy?
It is good, man. How are you doing?
It's like Aloha Friday today for me because I'm talking to you. It's been so long.
Hey, man, it's always great to hear from you, my man.
So what I'm most excited about with the whole Kubiak scheme and him coming over is the fullback position, having one back on the team, having that lead blocker that's going to really try to make some holes for Jeanty with the wide blocking. I think the easy answer would have been quarterback. Just because I know what he could do with the quarterback system and everything. But overall, I was most excited about seeing the fullback position come back.
I like it. Yeah, and look, that was something I remember asking him about that at the scouting combine. Hey, your offenses have always had a fullback. What is your thoughts? And he said, yeah, we're going to be on the lookout for one. And they brought one in, and Connor Hayward's that guy right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a great addition to the team. I'm really looking forward on Hayward and what he can do, not just in the blocking scheme, but also in the passing game as well, being that former tight end. So he's going to bring a dynamic out of that backfield that's really going to help out. And that two-headed monster with Jeanty and Washington, we're going to see some big things out there, I think, this year in the running game.
I think so as well. Really good call, Sentex. It's always great to hear from you. And I'm glad you brought up Washington. Jeanty was asked about Washington today as well. They do look like they could be a really good 1-2 punch. Now, I know, there's no pads on, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But, man, Washington, there's definitely a nice little role for him. And, Ryan Hogue brought up a good point to me today. He just kind of tapped me on the shoulder, and he's like, hey, what do you think about Mike Washington in the kick return game? because the way that he runs and almost he runs angry. Wasn't it Money Mitch who called and said he, run like you're mad at the grass? Was it Money Mitch who said that? I think that was a Money Mitch line, wasn't it? We put it on the wall.
We did. Yeah, I didn't know that was him.
I think it was Money Mitch. I think. If not, I apologize.
I
but
like it. Yeah.
I feel like it was Money Mitch who said that, and that's how Mike Washington runs. He runs like he's mad at the grass. And so you see him, and he hit the corner a couple times today, and we're standing right there on the sidelines. I might have taken a step or two back just in case. I know they ain't got no pads on. They're not trying to bring nobody down, but I was like, man, I'll be down if I'm going to be that guy on the video. Q got blown up by Mike Washington. So I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I remember that Texas linebacker that he put his shoulder down and ran through him. But he's got that burst, man. Boom. He hits that hole, and he's good to go. So, he could be a nice little 1-2 punch. And I haven't really put a lot of respect on Dylan Lobby's name. But what we've seen so far, he's looking pretty good as well. He hit the corner on one play today, and the defense didn't set the edge like it was supposed to, and he was gone. I mean, he hit that corner, boom, and next thing you know, you heard Max Crosby letting everyone on the defense know you're supposed to be setting the edge. Not necessarily in those words, but you get what I'm saying. He was definitely not happy that they didn't set the edge, and all I could think of when he was barking at him to set the edge, all I could think of is last year. Multiple games that we saw where the edge wasn't set, especially against Philadelphia. The edge wasn't set, and all of a sudden it was an easy play or a touchdown. And Max comes off the field like, what the hell was going on? How come you didn't do your job? You have to do your part. You got to be, you're 111. That's what you have to do. And so that's so important. It's always the breakdowns, the fundamentals. You got to set the edge. You got to set the edge. And so Dylan Lobby, he's going to be a part of that as well. But, Genty and Washington for sure. So let us know your thoughts. Hit us on the text line, 702-365-9200. Really want to focus in on the Raiders' offense on today. Obviously, Clint Kubiak is an offensive-minded guy, right? He's a guy that, that is in the same kind of vein as Bears fans gotten excited about Ben Johnson when they hired him for what he was able to do. Charger fans are excited by Mike McDaniel in L.A. because of what he's able to do offensively. Obviously, Rams fans excited about Sean McVay all the time, Kyle Shanahan all the time. All those guys that are sharp, offensive-minded guys. Hell, I'd say Brian Schottenheimer in Dallas. They have a hell of an offense as well. I think Clint Kubiak has an opportunity to be and run and be the mastermind behind the next really good offense in the National Football League. But what is it that excites you about this Raiders offense the most? What are your expectations for us? Let us know your thoughts. 702-365-9200. Vinny Bonsignore from the California Post and Raider Nation Radio 920's Morning Tailgate joins us next here on Raider Nation Radio 920.
It's going good. I'm excited. It's just great to be back out here with everybody, continue to get better and have a great year too. I feel like I can, run in any scheme, but, this one's especially great, running the wide zone and all that and, just really attacking the defense and, getting them running and then, hit them with some inside zone and play action. So everything goes together really well and just super excited to keep getting better at the run schemes.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Let's go inside the huddle with Vinny Bonsignore, sponsored by Dos Caras Tequila and presented by the Realty One Group.
That was Ashton Genty right there talking about year number 2, also talking about Clint Kubiak's run scheme and how he's excited to be able to run in this scheme and run behind that offensive line and is very optimistic for what's to come from this Raiders offense and, of course, the run game and even being used in the passing game coming up this season. And I mentioned earlier that, Genty and Mike Washington could be a nice 1-2 punch because of the burst that Washington has, because of the power. I do like what both of them bring to the table, the skill set. But as KP said on our text line, I do appreciate this, and I back this statement up 1,000%. Washington had fumble issues in college, so we'll see. True. You got to protect the rock. You cannot put the rock on the ground. If you're giving the ball away, you're no good for the team. So that is definitely something he has to do and overcome. But, man, when he runs with his head full of steam and runs downhill, man, it's a thing of beauty. But protection of the ball is necessary at all times. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. We are inside the huddle right now with Vinny Bonsignore from the California Post and, of course, the Morning Tailgate here on Raider Nation Radio 920. And, Vinny, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you. And we've been really focused in on the Raiders' offense and knowing Clint Kubiak is this year's version of Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen that we saw in Tampa Bay, or, any of these guys that are these sharp offensive minds, when you think of Klint Kubiak and you think about the offense that they're going to be running here in Las Vegas, what is it that Raider Nation in your mind should get excited about?
I think just the entire operation being elevated, being more efficient. I think starting with the offensive line, I think that's going to make a world of difference with Rick Dennison and Andrew Janocko and Klint Kubiak all kind of having a hand in that. They did that in Seattle, I reiterate. I was literally just talking to somebody in the NFL about this just 2 days ago, about how, those group of coaches went to Seattle last year from New Orleans, and Seattle's offensive line was ranked 32nd in the league. Whatever you want to say about Pro Football Focus, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. That's what they were ranked coming off the 2024 season by Pro Football Focus. They made one addition, and that was Gray Zabel, the great guard that they drafted in the first round. But that was the only addition that they made. Everything else was basically a repeat of the offensive line that was worst in the league by PFF the year before. Lo and behold, I think they finished the season 13th or 14th in the NFL. That's a monumental jump from 32nd to the 14th best offensive line in the NFL per PFF. And obviously that showed, did it not? I mean, they went from a bad offense to a good offense. They went from an offense that had trouble protecting the quarterback and trouble running the football to an offense that did both of those things at a really high level. They won the Super Bowl, and it was their run game, along with their pass game, obviously, but that run game really steamed that engine in the Super Bowl. So there's no reason to think that something similar can happen with the Raiders. I'm not saying they're going to go win the Super Bowl. I'm not going to say that they're going to be a top 5 offense in the NFL, but it's not going to be where it was last year, or quite honestly the year before that. It's not going to be inept. There's going to be a lot to be excited about in terms of that efficiency and in terms of improvement, tangible improvement that you're going to be able to see as a fan.
It's funny. I remember when Antonio Pierce would tell us, especially when we were at the scouting combine, what he was looking for was 24 points a game. Well, the Raiders, all they've done is trend backwards, right? 19.5 and 23, 18.2 and 24, and 14 points last year. I don't even need a number of points per game, because I think that'll all work itself out in the wash. But I mean, how consistent do they need to be when it comes to like sustaining drives? Be very balanced, have a good, healthy dose of the run game and the passing game to, even if nothing else, keep the defense on the field and let them be fresh when they do hit the field.
Yeah, those are all things that they want to do. So did Pete Carroll, and so did Antonio Pierce, right? Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, what they wanted just wasn't available to them, whether it was a talent issue or a coaching issue. And let's also not think about the fact that, or let's not forget to bring up the fact that there's been way too many coaching changes along the offensive line, with the offensive coordinator. There's just been dysfunction in the last few years. It's too much for some of these players to have to keep absorbing new systems. Well, this is the latest new system, and obviously Klint Kubiak wants to do those things that you just talked about. But I think what is different this time compared to previous regimes is that there is a track record, a recent track record, of success from this group. Not just last year, but if you go back to their New Orleans years, the offense was pretty decent in New Orleans in 1 year, and it was they were just there for 1 year, and it was Derek Carr obviously as the quarterback, but they played some pretty good football there in New Orleans. They played great football with Seattle, so there is a recent track record of this coaching staff coming in and really, getting the offense to play better football. And that's what this offense needs to do. They need to run the ball. They need to block, number one.
Yeah.
They need to protect. They need to block. And then and everything else should take care of itself, because there is, as I said, proof of concept that it does exactly that.
No, it really does. Vinny Bonsignore is with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. You mentioned it before. Obviously, Klint Kubiak is the head coach, so he's a CEO. He has to have his hands in a little bit of everything. But I don't want to quote you, but you said something to the extent of he's here to fix the offense, right? I mean, that's something that he's got to do. And then obviously at some point him and Fernando will be tied at the hip, the offensive play caller and the starting quarterback. But how quickly do you think he can fix this offense?
Well, Well, I guess we got to define fix. First of all, improve the offense. I think that's going to happen.
I mean, they only scored 14 points a game last year, so
exactly. I think for it's going to take it'll take a little while for everything to take hold, and for them to get the type of players that they want. I think they're close with the offense. I still think. And I see this, pretty consistently with the Rams. I've been with the Rams the last couple of days and seeing high-level players doing high-level things, and not just one of them, but multiple ones of them. A quarterback, two great wide receivers. It's fireworks like every day, right? So I think the Raiders are going to need somebody to complement Brock Bowers, and I think that's going to be. I think they can make this work with what they have right now, but I think down the road they're going to need some more premier playmakers to play alongside Brock Bowers, and then that's going to put a lot of pressure on opposing defenses. So I think if we define fix by significant improvement or by noticeable improvement, then I think that's going to happen in year one.
Yeah, it feels like, that at the end of the day, as long as you possess the ball, you're obviously able to score more than 14 points. I said earlier that I feel like the sweet spot, at least this year, is anywhere between 19 and a half and the 23 points that they scored in 2022.
Okay.
Right? It's got to be at least around there. If it's not around there, you're losing more times than not.
That's a 5 to 8 point improvement.
It's at least another touchdown a game.
That's basically, and so even on the low end, that's still five more points. I know it doesn't, 19 points, oh my gosh, but compared to where they were, that would have won them a couple more games last year. Let's face it. So, and in terms of what we were talking about, completely fixing it and getting it full bloom. There's an old saying: "Coach what you have, recruit what you need." You know that. Covering college football for as many years as you did, this is what they have to work with right now. Coach it and make it work, make it better, make it improved, create that foundation, and then go out and get what you need down the line. But for right now, I think Clint Kubiak can look at this roster, and John Spytek can look at this roster offensively and say there's enough ingredients to be able to put together a formidable offense, and we'll coach around whatever deficiencies there are, and which they do a good job of, and figure it out and play to their strengths. And I think, first and foremost, that's a great starting point for the Raiders.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Vinny Bonsignore with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Unnecessary roughness. I did want to ask you about a couple players. Hezekiah Masses is a guy that me and you have talked about quite a bit.
Yep.
He's been bouncing in back and forth with the ones and the twos, ran a little bit with the threes, but then bounced right back up with the twos and the ones today as well. What are your thoughts on him? He sounded like a guy that people really do like, and the fact that they just kind of have him bouncing all around, and he looks like he's very comfortable out there. No pads yet, but he does look very comfortable. Just kind of what are your thoughts on him and how big of an impact he might be able to make his rookie year?
I think that the Raiders really like him, and every time that I checked in with people that I check in with, who's flashing, who's doing well, who's et cetera, every single time, Zeke Massis was a name that was keep an eye on Zeke Massis. He's doing really good. There was Kion Sloan was another one. Trey Zune was another one, along with the Traden Stukes and the guys that you would expect to be on those lists. But Zeke was consistently somebody throughout the spring that was impressing the people in the building. And so now it's like you said, it's a matter of when the pads come on. That changes things, obviously. It's one thing to come flying down and be where you're supposed to be. It's another thing to now come flying down and then go hit what you're supposed to hit the way you're supposed to hit at this level. So, and then also, there were in college, you got a little handsy, I guess. At Cal, there were some penalties. You got to be able to get away with those type of things, to do those type of things without making it so blatant that the referee sees it. So there's a fine line there that he's going to have to, make that adjustment. But I think first and foremost, they want to be able to see him translate to when it gets physical. And so obviously, though, mentally and athletically, he's doing enough for them to say, all right, you're intriguing us. You're on our radar. There's a few more steps here to take, but as long as he takes those steps, then there's reason to believe that maybe the Raiders found themselves a gem on where they did in the draft.
And we've seen Jamad McCoy the first 2 days at training camp. He's been out there really running with the twos more times than not. But for a guy that hasn't played football, and as long as he hasn't played football, Vinny, I feel like that's a really good step in the right direction, especially since we know that they have a plan in place for him.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I think people need to just respect the fact or just appreciate the fact that he hasn't played football since the end of the 2024 season. I want to say that was in January for a playoff game. Maybe it was in December. I don't remember. The college football schedule can get kind of crazy. Needless to say, it's been a long time since he's played. It's been a full calendar year since he actually played a football game, and so now the next game that he plays isn't in college. It's going to be in the NFL. So after a long layoff, so they do have a plan in place, and it's more about kind of getting the rust off, kind of get him, his feet back under him playing competitive football, and that's going to come. It's not going to happen overnight, but they do have a plan in place, and they have a belief in place as well that this is going to translate for him, and if so, we keep talking about it, but that's a dynamic football player, and you add him with Traden Stukes, who's another dynamic football player, and all of a sudden, and we'll see what Zeke Massis is all about, because I firmly believe that however it plays out, all of them are going to play in some sort of a role, as long as they can continue to earn it. But all of a sudden, that secondary, and don't forget about Darian Porter as well. I mean, he's a good athlete, and even if the ceiling at this point is a really good role player, that's great too, because what you're looking at is a secondary that in the blink of an eye, kind of turned over. Yep. And that's something I know that you've always talked about, rightfully so, about the secondary, and all of a sudden you start looking at players that aren't just, oh, wow, I hope it works out, to if they just do what they've done in college, because it's blatantly clear from the film that these guys can play. They played at a high level. All of them were playmakers. Everyone, all those three cornerbacks that we just talked about were, and the safety Traden Stukes were playmakers and ball hawks and knocking balls down, being where you're supposed to be, not just being satisfied with being where you're supposed to be, but go make a play on the ball, come up with an interception, come up with a batted ball to make sure the other guy didn't get it. And there's a track record there of that happening. And I just don't remember the last time, even looking at some of the tape from college, where, okay, good athlete, good this, but where's the playmaking?
Right.
And I think we see it with Stukes, with Jamad McCoy, and with Zeke Massis.
Yeah, all those guys that they brought in, they all have ball skills. They all have that production. They created turnovers in college, which gives them at least an opportunity to do that in the NFL. Well, Vinny will close out with this, and I'll say the line, and you can tell me what it's all about. Way to go, Ravens. You managed to create an even scarier version of Max Crosby. It's your latest piece that you have in the California Post. Just give us a little bit of a tease on what you're talking about in this article.
Yeah. I want to be the best that I could be. Translation, I'm going to kick everybody's ass, and I'm going to make the Ravens pay for – I'm going to make everybody in the NFL pay for the doubt and the disrespect from the Ravens. So thank you, Ravens, for doing that, and on behalf of the rest of the NFL, which is now shaking in their boots.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. The minute that trade got rescinded, I said, I feel sorry for whoever lines up across Max. Because we already know how he is. I heard him chirping today. He got mad when the defense didn't set the edge, and he's showing that leadership. He's encouraging the guys, but he's also coming with a lot of intensity like he always does. So, I'm really looking forward to him out there, especially with all the other difference makers that he has, like the Quay Walkers and the Kobe Deans, right? All those young dudes in the secondary, other guys, Kwity Paye. I think he's got a good opportunity to really have an impact on this defense this year, and this team should be fun to watch as far as I'm concerned. Well, Vinny, it's always fun catching up with you, my man. What are you working on? I know you got the piece on Max, but what are you working on that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I just did that, and I'm going to be writing about Fernando as well. And you mentioned something before I get out of here. You mentioned something really important to me as it relates to Max, and that's the supporting cast that's now around him. I mean, he's human. There's probably been times where he's like, man, what have I got to do? Everything around here, and you could get down a little bit. Not to say that he did, but I mean, even if it's a 1% of a 1% of a 1%, where you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like you're kind of looking around going, hey, man, this guy, this is the, I can only do so much. how inspiring must it be for him to say, like, not only can I do what I do, which I'm going to probably do even more now, being healthy and being extra motivated, but now I got some dogs around me too who not only are aging guys that I remember watching, 5 years ago do their thing. I'm looking at dudes that are right smack in the middle of their prime and have a track record and a history of being able to produce at a high level. To me, that's got to be inspiring for Max to really dial it in and stay dialed in and really be inspired by.
Yeah, the funny thing is I asked him about those weapons yesterday and those guys that are his running buddies now, and he laughed and said, man, he looked back and looked at Quay Walker and started laughing and saying, I ain't never seen a linebacker that was as big as me. You know what I mean? So,
yes, sir.
And honestly, Vinny, you're out there. You see the guys that were out there with Max for over these years. He hasn't had the playmakers in those positions, and now he truly, in my opinion, has playmakers on all levels of the defense.
I completely agree, and that's why that makes that secondary so important. If that thing can kind of come through here, I think we have a pretty good idea of what Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker are all about. I'd be shocked if they weren't a productive duo, right?
Yep.
And I think the defensive line, really keep an eye on Tonka Hemingway and everything that they put together. It might not be a star-studded defensive line outside of Max, but I think it could be a productive and, one that could get some pressure on the quarterback and play the run. And so we feel good about the linebackers. If the secondary can do its thing, this has a chance to be a pretty good defense.
Yeah, and that's the reason why they went out there and did a complete overhaul of that Raiders secondary. Well, fantastic stuff as always, Vinny, man. Great work that you're putting out there. Definitely appreciate you. And, we'll catch up soon.
Absolutely. Have a great show.
Will do. Vinny Bonsignore right there, California Post. Of course, you can catch him on the morning tailgate here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Just saw this text from Susan. Q, right when you asked Vinny to give us a tease, here comes the emergency broadcast. Yeah, these things happen, right? You can't control that thing. But I will tell you, he said he's working on a piece on Fernando Mendoza. so there you go. I'll just go ahead and give you the tease that Vinny was supposed to give you, but the emergency broadcast, they cut that off. But it's okay. It happens. Again, that's something that's completely out of our control, and obviously we have it for a good reason. So, if every once in a while the emergency broadcast cuts me off, I think I'll be okay. I won't get too upset about that, but some really good stuff from Vinny. Definitely appreciate his thoughts this afternoon. We did throw the question out there. What is it that excites you about this Raiders offense that Clint Kubiak will be running? What are your expectations for it? So let us know on the text line, 702-365-9200. Let us know your thoughts. We got Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports. He'll join us at the top of the hour. We'll talk all things AFC West and what his expectations for that are. That's next here on game night on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Honestly, I believe that his opportunity to start at quarterback will present itself in due time. But right now, if you're looking at this roster and saying, if you had a game tomorrow, Kirk Cousins is your best option at quarterback. And that just basically takes the pressure off of everybody. Kirk gets the majority of those first team reps, but you're seeing Fernando Mendoza taking reps with the second and third team and fully developing early on. Today, you saw a little bit of the rust for a rookie. It's all part of that process, Judy. Just excited to see it in person now.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
I was Kirk Morrison right there on NFL Network with Judy Bautista talking about the quarterbacks, talking about Kirk Cousins and obviously Fernando Mendoza and even some of the rust that Fernando Mendoza had on day one. He shook a lot of that rust off today, looked a lot better on day number 2 of Raiders training camp. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. We threw the question out there. What is it that excites you about the Raiders offense? Clint Kubiak's going to be running. What are your expectations for it? Hit us up on the text line, 702-365-9200. Speaking of expectations, what are the expectations for the AFC West? How about this? Will Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs retake the division? Predicting the AFC West. The man that wrote that piece is Tyler Dragon from USA Today Sports, and he joins us now here on the show. And Tyler, thanks so much for your time. I do appreciate you. And it's so funny. I got into a pretty spirited conversation last night on game night on ESPN Radio with my guy Emmett Golden, and he was assuming that the Chiefs are just going to be back to being the same old Chiefs. And I said, but how do we know that? Patrick Mahomes is coming back off a pretty serious injury, and every athlete has a little bit of time to get back to being their normal selves. What are your thoughts on just Patrick Mahomes getting back to being the Patrick Mahomes that we saw before he had that injury last year?
Yeah, I think it's going to take some time. I've torn my ACL. I wasn't the caliber athlete Patrick Mahomes is, but usually it takes a little bit of time for athletes to come back from ACL injuries. Some cases could take up to 2 years. Now, luckily, Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback, so there's not a lot of strenuous work to the knee. However, torque and planning on your leg and being able to scramble and all that affects your knee. But I do think he's going to be ready by week 1. I don't think we'll see the Patrick Mahomes, the scrambling ability that we've seen in years past from him. But I do believe that you'll probably see about a 70% of Patrick Mahomes early in the season, and towards the latter portion of the season, you'll probably see the Patrick Mahomes of old that we're all accustomed to.
So when you look at this Chiefs offense, and it's so funny, everyone talks about the Raiders don't have a number one wide receiver. The Chiefs have lived in that world for quite a while, but they have Patrick Mahomes, so he cleans up the situation there. But where do you see this offense going with Pat, with the Chiefs, with Travis Kelce coming back? Do you see them being a really good offense? How much of a difference maker is Kenneth Walker going to be this year for him?
I think he's going to be a difference maker. The Chiefs have not had a running game in a while, and now you add a Kenneth Walker, or you can and play behind him, and most importantly, ease some of the load off of Patrick Mahomes, who has had quite a lot on his shoulders the past few seasons, and you can blame that on the injury, trying to scramble, get some yardage, and be a hero. With Kenneth Walker, you can hand him the ball off in the backfield and hopefully ease some of the pressure off Mahomes when he's on offense. And then maybe in the fourth quarter, Mahomes can kind of do his heroics. But I really do. That was one of the best free agent pickups this offseason.
Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports, is with us here. Raider Nation Radio 920. So Denver won the AFC West last year. They went 14-3, but they won a lot of one-score games. And as you know, Tyler, normally that regresses the next season. How do you kind of look at the Denver Broncos at this stage of the game right now?
I think in my AFC West prediction, I have them actually second in the division behind the Los Angeles Chargers. I do think it's going to be interesting to see how Bo Nix develops into another season. Of course, Sean Payton is not calling plays anymore. I want to see how that dynamic works. But the Broncos defense, they're still going to be really good. Of course, I like the addition of Jalen Waddle. But the AFC West, when you look from top to bottom, it's hard for me to say that they're going to be better than the Los Angeles Chargers if the Chargers can remain healthy.
Yeah, health is going to be a big deal, and we'll get to the Chargers in a hot minute, but you said it. Sean Payton's not calling the plays. It's going to be Davis Webb this year. He was under consideration for a few head coaching jobs in this cycle, including the Raiders. What do you think the difference will be between Sean Payton calling plays and what you'll see from the Broncos with Davis Webb calling plays?
I think the Broncos are going to try to establish the run a little bit more under Davis Webb. I do like that they brought back J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins, when he's healthy, he's one of the better running backs in the league. The problem is that he's just not been able to be healthy. And then he has a better relationship from what I've heard with the Bo Nix. So that seems to I believe the dynamic will work good in that aspect. Not to say that Sean Payton and Nix did not have a good relationship, but I've just heard that those two have a better relationship. So I think it's going to work okay. I do think the difference is going to be more of a running game, and I do seem to like that in Denver.
Again, we got Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports, with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. You picked the Chargers to win the AFC West. They got, Mike McDaniel, I know he's a sharp offensive mind, and he's going to be their offensive coordinator. If they don't get it done, if they don't find a way to take that next step, what will be the reason why?
Injuries and Justin Herbert not being able to get it done when it matters most. He's 0-3 in the postseason, and he's running out of excuses, quite frankly, because when I look at the Los Angeles Chargers, they have what it takes. I would like to probably see them with a better number one wide receiver, but overall, I do like what I've seen from the Chargers, top to bottom, offensive line, if they can stay healthy. I like their running back, their defense. They have a solid defense. So I think they have what it takes. It's just a question if they can stay healthy and Justin Herbert can play a whole lot better in the postseason.
Has he gotten, I don't want to say a pass, but has he kind of been glossed over where he's not really criticized to the same level as other quarterbacks that are in the $50 million a year club?
I think yes, but that criticism, the lack of criticism, I think, is going to run out this year if the Chargers don't get it done, if you don't see market improvement from them, because, I mean, he has what it takes. And he has an offense. He has a brilliant offense coordinator, Mike McDaniel. Jim Harbaugh has won everywhere that he's been. So if he does not win with the Chargers, okay, well, what's the issue? So Justin Herbert is running out of excuses. And if he doesn't get it done this year, I can see the criticism coming his way in a hurry.
So you said you got the Chargers there winning the AFC West. The Broncos are behind them, so that means the Chiefs you have at third and the Raiders coming in fourth, which I don't think is a big surprise. A lot of new with the Raiders, as you know. Clint Kubiak now the head coach, but we've been talking about the Raiders offense, and I've been saying that Clint Kubiak is this year's, Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen or sharp offensive mind. That's where I'm trying to go with it. What are your expectations for this offense? Because we know how much of focus Clint Kubiak is going to have on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think the Raiders' offense is going to be much improved. I like what they did with the offensive line. I do like the adjustments that they made in defense, too. But overall, I do believe Kirk Cousins, he knows Kubiak's system well, and that West Coast offense. Ashton Genty's another year under his belt. You got a Tyler Linderbaum, like I said, on the offensive line. So I do believe the Raiders are going to be better, but the problem is the AFC West, you can say that they're the best division of football because, yes, I have the Chiefs at third, but I have three playoff teams in the AFC West this year, Chargers, Broncos, and Chiefs. So that's my thing with the only issue what I have with the Raiders is that division is just loaded.
A lot of people talk about the Raiders in the wide receiver position and that they don't have a guy that they see as, well, that's that number one, and they have to have a number one. What do you see from that wide receiver room? We know what Brock Bowers is, but what are you seeing so far from the Raiders wide receiver room?
I feel as though the Raiders need to get a wide receiver in free agency, whether it's Diggs, whether they can get DeAndre Hopkins or somebody. They need to bring another wide receiver in the room because right now Brock Bowers is their best receiving option. Now, that's not a bad receiving option, but the Raiders don't have a number one caliber wide receiver in their room, and you can make a case they don't even have a number two wide receiver in their room.
I mean, they got, Speedy Naylor. I think he could provide something. Trey Tucker was good. Those guys were priorities. So I think that they'll have at least a number two. But the way I look at it, Tyler, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like they're going to go through this season, see what they have, and then say, okay, this is what we need. Like, check what you have in the fridge before you go shopping, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that. But when you look at the other teams in the division, they have much better rooms, and that's on paper. Now, those players can exceed expectations, and they can play better than what I believe. But when you look at the Raiders wide receiver room and when you compare it to the Broncos, when you compare it to the Chiefs or the other teams in AFC, to me, I just don't believe they have what it takes.
No, that's fair. That's fair, and that's why I said I think that they're going to probably go ahead and test the waters and see what they have and then be able to make an assessment of it. Obviously, Ashton Genty as well at the running back position. I think it's going to be a 1-2 punch of Genty and Brock Bowers and like I said, go from there. What are your thoughts on Ashton Genty in year two? He cut out sugar in his diet. He feels like he's in better shape. He's recovering a little bit better. What are your thoughts on him year two and with Clint Kubiak now?
It would not surprise me if he crosses the 1,000-yard rushing threshold. I do think he was the best running back coming out of the draft. And when I look at what the Raiders did upon their offensive line and with the system that Kubiak's going to bring in, I do believe Genty is going to be developed more, and he's going to have a much better season than last year, for sure.
And we'll close out with this when it comes to the Raiders offense. Clint Kubiak said that Kirk Cousins is going to be the guy, at least for right now. And I don't think that that's a surprise to anyone. They brought him in for a reason. But how long do you think that they can keep the young fella on the sideline before they decide to go ahead and give him the ball and let him get into the game?
Man, if I'm the Raiders, I probably wait maybe week 5 or somewhere towards the middle of the season. I do think that they're making the right move with having Cousins in to begin the season and then wait for Mendoza to get the keys. But I do think that they made the right decision with starting Kirk Cousins and taking the slow approach with Mendoza.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're taking the slow approach. They're giving them an opportunity to kind of learn and sit there behind Kirk and observe and just, grow each and every day as a professional quarterback in the National Football League. Well, Tyler, great stuff as always. Again, you got your AFC West prediction piece out right now, USA Today Sports. What else you got coming up that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I was just at a Cowboys training camp, so I have a few pieces coming from the Cowboys. Their defensive coordinator, Christian Parker, I have a profile on him, and I'll be at Rams and Chargers training camps later on this week, so I'll have a few pieces coming from those training camps as well.
Were you there when Jerry said, we're going to lose some folk, we're going to have some barn, but the wagon train is going to get there? Were you there when he gave those poetic words that he did?
I was, and that quote is in one of my stories.
That is incredible.
I had to put that one in. I had to put that one in there.
I'm telling you, man, I've been using that one ever since I heard it. I don't even know what the hell it means, but I'm using it anyway just because it's so good. So, yeah, I mean, Jerry is who he is.
That was hilarious.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that was hilarious. Leave it to Jerry.
Exactly. There's no doubt about that. I don't know who he was hanging out with when that one popped into his head, and he said, you know what, I'm going to use that one when we open up training camp. But, hey, thank him for it because Jerry is Jerry. Well, Tyler, great stuff as always, man. Thanks so much. I know I'll be catching up with you soon. I'm sure you'll be rolling around Raiders camp soon.
Of course. Thanks for having me on. Have a good one.
All right, you do the same. Tyler Dragon, USA Today Sports right there, here with us on Raider Nation Radio 920. He's pretty convinced that he thinks that the Raiders need that number one wide receiver. I'm very much bullish on how badly they need that number one wide receiver. And you know what? They might. We might go into the season and see how it all looks, and then all of a sudden say, oh, yeah, hey, you know what? Everyone who said that they needed a number one wide receiver was right. But I swear, and I guess because they have Patrick Mahomes, it's hard to just say, well, the Chiefs haven't had a number one wide receiver since Tyreek Hill. But the Chiefs haven't had a number one wide receiver since Tyreek Hill, and they find a way to get it done. And it's really been on the strength of their tight end, Travis Kelce. And the Raiders have a tight end that's just as good, if not better, in Brock Bowers, right? Now, obviously, they haven't had the consistent quarterback play that the Chiefs have had over the years, so that is obviously the big difference. But I really do, and again, maybe I'm just, I don't know, I'm in another land. Maybe I'm way off, right? Maybe I end up coming back at the end of the year and saying, man, I was on that island all by myself that said, that the Raiders don't need that number one wide receiver and that they'll be fine this year. I could end up being that guy. Everyone could say that, Q, you've been wrong all year long. That's fine. I'm good with that. I have no problem with that. I just don't think it's as desperate as people make it sound like. And honestly, and everyone knows, I got all the respect in the world for Tyler. That's my guy. He comes on the show all the time. I just don't see what difference Stephon Diggs is going to make. I don't see what difference, DeAndre Hopkins is going to make. I really don't. The only thing I see them doing, and we've had these conversations on the show, is slowing down the growth of Jack Besh, slowing down the growth of Dante Thornton Jr., slowing down the growth of, Malik Benson. I just don't see them being a whole lot of positive to gain from it. And look, if you pick the Raiders to end up fourth in the division, like Tyler did, is Steph Diggs, is he that necessary to do what? Is he going to take you from fourth to first? Is he going to take you from fourth to second? Is he going to put you in the playoffs? Maybe he's good for a couple wins and the Raiders end up with 10. I might be way wrong. I've never had a problem coming out and saying I was wrong. Never. I'll be the first one to admit when I'm wrong. I just don't see it as desperate as a lot of people do.
I think that's the best way to say it. It's not that it's not an issue or not even an issue. It's not even something we're not going to acknowledge. But like, is it as, what did you just say, desperate?
Yeah,
Are we that desperate?
It just seems like everyone thinks that the Raiders are really desperate for a number one wide receiver, and I just don't see it the same.
They don't seem to either so far.
But I mean, again, maybe I believe in what Kubiak's going to do too much because I've been around, what he's doing right now, and I'm seeing it firsthand. I'm thinking, okay, I get it. I get what he's going to put together, but I don't know, man. And I know Stephon Diggs is really good. I get that. He's been really good the whole time he's been in the league, and he's been really good for quarterbacks. He was really good in Minnesota when he was with Kirk Cousins. He was really good in Buffalo when he was with Josh Allen. He was really good in Houston when he was with C.J. Stroud. He was really good last year when he was with Drake May. I just think with all the different guys that they have, all the cast and characters, it might not be a number one, but it could equal some really good production. You just don't. And again, it kind of goes back to the conversation we had on yesterday, all right, when we were talking about we and I, right? I mean, the we that the Raiders have may be more valuable than the I that one of those guys brings.
Yeah, now that's a great point. Yeah. And with the new coaching staff and, the buy-in, if everything is, if everyone is in the same frame of mind, I agree. Like, I'm not going to just say they're just players, but at that point, who cares who's in that role? Whether it's Jack Pesh or Stephon Diggs, it's just, who's going to get it done. So,
yeah,
it's worth. I think it's worth. And to quote Kirk again, or also Clint, it will reveal itself. Like, I think over time you'll see this year the expectations are tempered, or it's not. They're not going to the Super Bowl, so do you make a huge splash for that wide receiver? And this is like the talking points for the last 6 months now. But yeah, I think at this point, I don't know. And I was on that island, by the way. I was kind of like buying the narrative, like, oh no, they really got to figure this out with the wide receiver. They got to draft someone in the second round and all these different things. And here we are. I don't really feel like, oh man, they really let me down. I don't feel disappointed or discouraged. I think things are going the way they're supposed to.
Sean hit us up from the 916. It's always great to hear from Sean. This is exactly why I'm not mad at Raider fans when they want to go get a piece that can help them win now. We have to listen to reports glaze our entire division and crap on us. We're tired of it. It's like a tug of war. You guys say Raiders shouldn't do this. They aren't there yet. Media outside of you guys is like Raiders need to get this. They don't stack up against these teams. These three teams are the greatest ever. I'm tired of this S. Hope Raiders can shut these bums up at some point. God bless and go Raiders. Sorry for the rant, but it's annoying. That's fine. Nothing to be sorry for. One, I wouldn't call anyone who's a guest on this show a bum. That's just me. I'm not a disrespectful dude. Second, those three teams are established at this stage of the game. The Raiders haven't been established yet. They've gone through coach after coach after coach the last handful of years, right? If you count the interim coaches, that's 6 coaches since 2021, right? So I mean that's the math don't math if you're trying to stack up. So the only reason I say that they don't need certain players to help them win is because of the way that they've been building this team. Like I'm not in the building, right? Whatever they do, I mean, hell, I supported Jimmy G, I supported Gardner Minshew, I supported Brian Hoyer, right? I still catch hell for that, right? I supported every single Josh McDaniels because all I care about is the team winning. But I understand the moves that they've made, and if you see a move that they made that says that they feel like that they're in a position to win right now, point it out to me. That's all I'm saying. So you can call me a bum. I'm fine with that. I don't think that the people that are guests on the shows are bums. I'll be the bum. I'm just saying that I don't think that a move for Vita Vea at 31 years old, when you're giving up draft capital, when you still need pieces that you want to get from the draft, makes sense. Again, wherever I'm wrong, please correct me. Tell me what it is. Like I heard people saying, just give up a second-round pick. Just a second-round pick? Just a second-round pick? Like that's a starter. So go give up a starter for a guy who may be a starter for a couple years that, oh, by the way, you gave up that draft pick and you gave up a lot of money? That's why I say that. And I don't see where this team has done that yet. Now, when it was Gruden, we all saw the AB move coming, didn't we? I saw that one coming from a mile away. I knew that was happening because we knew how much he had respect for Antonio Brown as a wide receiver. He always called him the second hardest worker behind Jerry Rice. So we saw that coming. It didn't work out. I didn't know if they were going to make a move for Devontae Adams. They did. It looked like it was going to be great. It turned out it wasn't, right? There's been people on record that said it was actually one of the worst moves that they made because they believed that they were a better team than they were when they went and got him, and they weren't that good of a team. You saw the moves that they made last year. That didn't work out. All I'm saying is, from what I've seen since John Spytek and Tom Brady have taken over as football operations after Pete Carroll got fired, I haven't seen one move that they've made that says that they're going to try to shortcut this rebuild. That's all I'm saying. And like I said, if I'm wrong, if there's a move that they have made that signifies that to you, please tell me what it is. Because I don't mind being corrected. I'm not going to get mad at you. I'm not going to dog cuss you. I'm not going to call you a bum. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not that guy. But I just don't see it. I see them drafting. I see them developing. I see John Spytek saying to me when I ask him about Jack Bech and Dante Thornton Jr., he stands beside them because they work their asses off, and he wants to see them go out there and work. I saw them bring in a guy in Speedy Naylor who is not proven as a wide receiver because he sat behind two guys in Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. I saw them go make a hell of a move to shore up their offensive line by going out and get Tyler Linderbaum. I saw them make some really good moves in free agency to go get some difference makers on defense in Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean and bring back Eric Stokes and trade for Teron Johnson. But I haven't seen them go out and make some big, massive trade, give up some draft capital that could be quality picks. Like, I didn't even like the fact that they gave up a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett last year because I thought that was a waste of a draft pick. And that was, in air quotes, only a 5th-round pick. So I don't know what the price of doing business for Vita Vea would be, but to me, it doesn't make sense at this stage of the game. And that's why I ask questions when the people that come on the show, or the bums that you say come on the show, I ask the question. I don't see it, but it doesn't mean that I can't stand corrected. And look, if they ended up needing some wide receivers, if all of a sudden they can't catch a cold during the regular season, okay, then you're right. They should have gone and got Stephon Diggs. They should have gone and got DeAndre Hopkins. They should have gone and traded for A.J. Brown. They should have gone and got the whole damn farm. I mean, they have a vision. They have a plan. We've all appreciated their plan so far this offseason. Why are we going to switch it up now? Why are we all of a sudden going to start questioning what they do now? That's all I'm saying. But again, if there's a move that's been made, please tell me what it is. Because I haven't seen it. And I feel like I've been around pretty much every day except for 2 weeks that I went on vacation. 702-365-9200. Max Chadwick, not a bum. Pro Football Focus. He joins us next. It's Raider Nation Radio 920.
I have high expectations for everyone. The standard is higher. You guys are learning, you guys are coming in. But, the competition right now is first getting in the playbook and, mastering that and getting footwork, everything. And then next is training camp. But, no, it's great that, we're back together and taking another step. So I'm looking forward to the process.
Now back to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right.
Like Bill Romanowski would say, all roughness is necessary. Right? It is unnecessary roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. We come into the sounds of what I can call as the elder statesman, Kolton Miller right there with his high expectations going into training camp. We got to speak with him on yesterday, day one of training camp, and he's obviously a very critical point and part of this Raiders offensive line, the left tackle that's been the Raiders left tackle for quite a while, and when he was gone in 2025, the Raiders and the entire team, as a matter of fact, but the offense in particular really, really felt it. Again, unnecessary roughness here at Raider Nation Radio 920. Joining us now to talk about the offensive line and Kolton Miller in particular is Max Chadwick from Pro Football Focus. And Max, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you. And we are checking out the rankings of the tackle rankings, top 32 players ahead of the 2026 NFL season. And the guy that we just heard from and I talked about, Kolton Miller, came in at number 12. And as you said in the piece, Miller's impact in 2025 was felt by way of his absence. He's back healthy. How critical do you see Kolton Miller being in the piece of this pie that is the Raiders offensive line moving forward if they want to have a successful 2026 season?
Yeah, he was unbelievable in the year before that, right? As a pass blocker especially. He had almost a 90 PFF pass blocking grade. It was a career high for him that year too. So, yeah, he's really critical, right? And we saw last year with the Raiders' offensive line that they did no favors for rookie running back Ashton Jeanty. He's going to be a critical part of this offense this year, right? Not only to help out Jeanty and have a bounce-back year in his sophomore season, but also whenever Fernando Mendoza takes over as a starting quarterback in Las Vegas, which I think will be at some point this year. I know they keep talking about Kirk Cousins starting the whole year, but I think Mendoza will be the starter at one point during the year. You're going to need your franchise left tackle, Kolton Miller, to help make Mendoza feel as comfortable as possible, knowing his blind side is protected by one of the best tackles in the game.
When you look at the way that this offensive line is constructed and you put it in this piece as well, Tyler Linderbaum, he comes in as the big free agent acquisition. He's the center. You have the left tackle. Obviously, Colton's got to stay healthy, but having 2 out of the 5 spots at least solidified right now, it feels like a good step in the right direction as they're implementing this new offensive line blocking scheme, this zone blocking scheme, and Rick Dennison is coaching it up. How much will those 2 guys, help out the guards, whoever they are, right, just hold that spot down and really help them build this offensive line in the right direction?
Yeah, it'll be huge, right? It's a massive signing, getting Tyler Linderbaum over, one of the best centers in football right now. You're right. Tyler Linderbaum's an excellent player, and you have, of course, Kolton Miller, who, when healthy, is an excellent player too. It's the question marks of the other 3 spots right now, right? Jackson Powers-Johnson is a really solid guard, I think, right now. I think his better home is at center, honestly. But when you have Tyler Linderbaum now, that center spot's taken. So now Jackson Powers-Johnson is a guard, which I think he's a solid guard at that. I really have more question marks about DJ Glaze at right tackle and Spencer Burford coming in now at left guard. Maybe we'll see Trey Zune this year too, a 3rd-round pick they drafted out of Texas A&M, who's a really good guard at Texas A&M too. But I think it will be Spencer Burford, the free agent acquisition they got from the 49ers. So I would expect that right now. But yeah, those 2 and Spencer Burford and DJ Glaze, how much they improve this year will determine just how good this offensive line is.
How much do you think Burford could help this offensive line only because he's familiar with the offensive line scheme coming over from the 49ers?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great part of it, right, is that, he's familiar with this outside zone scheme that they're going to be running a lot in Las Vegas this year. So from a scheme fit perspective, it makes sense. Now, the problem with Spencer Burford is that throughout his 4 years in the NFL, he's mainly been a below-average guard at best, honestly. And even his early years, he was one of the worst guards in the league. Now, he had his best year last year, but still, like I said, he's still a below-average guard, I would say, in the grand scheme of things. So, how much he can improve in year 5 now in Las Vegas, and that'll be huge and critical for just how good the Raiders' offensive line can be.
Max Chadwick is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Unnecessary Roughness, talking all things offensive line. I wanted to go to DJ Glaze, and, I had Lincoln Kennedy, former Raider offensive lineman, tell me a lot last year that every time they lined Geno Smith up in shotgun or in the pistol, it was hurting DJ Glaze because he wasn't fast enough, right? I mean, so the edge rushers were always able to cross his face. How much do you think this scheme and lining the quarterback up under center could help DJ Glaze have a bounce-back year as opposed to what he did last year?
Yeah, definitely. I think the agility, I think it's correct, is probably the issue with DJ Glaze right now because he is a massive tackle, right? He's 330 pounds, which is on the bigger end for tackles in the NFL right now. And, I thought his rookie year was encouraging, what he showed in 2024. Kind of took a little bit of a step back, I thought, this past year. So, yeah, he's okay. I don't think he's necessarily a terrible tackle by any means, but you could definitely do better at the same time. So I like DJ Glaze enough to start him this year, but if he doesn't show improvement in year 3 in Las Vegas, it could be time for them to look for his replacement down the line.
There was a lot of conversations last year about Charles Grant. The Raiders drafted him in the 3rd round, and he comes from William and Mary, so it's a little bit lower level competition. But apparently, from everything I've heard, they really like him. I don't know how much you studied him or know him, but could that be a potential replacement at some point for DJ Glaze?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he only played around 60 snaps last year, but I thought he actually looked pretty solid on those snaps. And you're right, you invested a day 2 pick in the NFL draft on him. You're expecting him eventually to take over. Now, the issue, and I think they made the right decision last year not really playing him that much because you're right. Going from William and Mary, which is an FCS school, all the way up to the NFL level now, that's a huge, huge jump in competition. I mean, it's a huge jump in competition when there's an SEC tackle going to the NFL, let alone an FCS one, right? So I think letting him get his feet wet, letting him understand the speed of the NFL, just how good these NFL edge rushers are, instead of throwing him out there as a rookie, with his head spinning, honestly, that was probably the right move. And I think DJ Glaze, he's got to watch out this year, right? Because DJ Glaze, if he struggles a little bit, there might be a little bit of a short leash for him, and they want to see if Charles Grant can take over and be their franchise right tackle.
You mentioned Spencer Burford and how he hasn't really, graded out to be very good. What about Caleb Rogers? He didn't get a lot of action last year either, but another day 2 pick. What do you think about him and where he could be in this offensive line competition?
Yeah, definitely. It's another guy that, right, you're right, they spent a day 2 pick on, so they're spending resources on the offensive line, which is always a good thing, right? You always want to be investing in the offensive line, even if you don't think you should, you don't need it right now. But yeah, Caleb Rogers, a 3rd-round pick out of Texas Tech a couple of years ago. Again, he played a decent amount last year, almost 300 snaps. Actually, it was a pretty good amount of snaps last year. Again, I thought his rookie year was okay. I don't think there's anything to write home about, honestly. But, they're hoping that he could potentially turn into a starting caliber player, too. And it's really the same story as DJ Glaze and Charles Grant. Like, if Spencer Burford is out there struggling, I would not be surprised if we see Caleb Rogers or even the rookie and Trey Zoom, the 3rd-round pick himself, if they come in to spell him and see if they can take over that starting left guard spot.
Pro Football Focus' Max Chadwick is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. I'm glad we are talking about Trey Zoom. I actually identified him when they drafted him as a day 1 starter, and that might not come to fruition, but he could play multiple positions along that offensive line, which is obviously very valuable, as you know. What do you see in Trey Zoom? A lot of games under his belt in the SEC.
Yeah, he's got to play tackle right at Texas A&M in his career, and we're projecting him now to play inside at guard. I mean, if you look at his PFF grades, for example, he was the best pass blocker in college football last year. He was outrageously good as a pass blocker. Now, he did struggle a little bit more in the run game, which is why he ended up being a 3rd-round pick and not a 1st-round pick, like you usually see for a guy that dominates in pass protection like that. But, I mean, he almost had a 97 PFF pass blocking grade. Guys, that was like 7 points higher than any other tackle in college football last year, right? So he's a dominant pass protector, only allowed 2 sacks all year and only 10 pressures all year and about 400 pass blocking snaps. So he was dominant as a pass blocker, and they're hoping that he could be a guy that could protect Fernando Mendoza long-term as probably a starting guard. I don't think he will be a starting tackle in the NFL, but he is a bigger guard, though. 6'6", 320 pounds. They're hoping that he could be a long-term answer at one of those starting guard spots. And like I said before, if Spencer Burford's struggling out there, they might put in the rookie Trey Zoom.
What do you think about, just in case he's not a starter when the season gets going, but just to have him available on game day because, like I said, he might not be a long-term tackle in the NFL, but if a guy goes down, he has the versatility where he could pop in and it's a numbers game on game day.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely think they should dress him this year because he's got that versatility. Like you said, he could be one of those swing offensive linemen that is just, hey, if one of your 5 goes down, like maybe everything but center, right? If Linderbaum goes down, you're probably hoping that a guy like Jordan Meredith or someone like that could take over, or probably Jack. Even honestly, if Linderbaum gets hurt, for example, which knock on wood he won't, you could put Jackson Powers Johnson in at center and then put Trey Zoom at guard or something like that too, right? So there is flexibility on this offensive line. I even think Charles Grant had some interior flexibility too, that he could play a little bit guard if need be as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of flexibility on this offensive line, which is always a really good sign for your O-line. Now, the only question mark I have, like I said, is the 2 guys in Spencer Burford and DJ Glaze right now and how much they can improve.
Yeah, the offensive line and that competition is something that we're definitely focused in on during training camp. Obviously, only 2 days are in the books. And Max, we'll close out with this. Great stuff as always, my man. Definitely appreciate you. What did you see last year from the Seahawks offensive line? And what I mean by that is the growth over the course of the year. They were implementing a new blocking scheme, just like the Raiders are. How did you see them kind of grow over the course of the year? And obviously, they go on to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, obviously, you can't really win a championship unless your offensive line is performing at a high level, right? And I think Clint Kubiak did a really good job of, even though they had some injuries along that unit, they did a good job overall with their offensive line too. So I thought it was, honestly, in terms of how good they were in the grand scheme of things in the NFL, they were a relatively average unit, I would say. I wouldn't say it was like a dominant offensive line last year, but it also wasn't a bad one either, right? So I think they did a good job. And also, but what I also will say for them is that they didn't really have the talent to be a top-end unit either. So they did kind of perform at the level they should have, if not better than the level they should have too. So, yeah, I think Clint Kubiak will put this offensive line in spots where they should win, right? So I think that's where I'm a little bit I'm kind of patient with DJ Glaze and Spencer Burford. So I'm kind of waiting to see how they fit into the Clint Kubiak offense that I think is so well designed and kind of puts not only the offensive line but almost every single player on that offense in spaces to win.
Yeah, that's why I'm encouraged, is because, again, I know that the talent that the Seahawks had, and their offensive line was good enough to get it done. That is for sure. Again, the piece on Pro Football Focus, PFF.com. PFF Tackle Rankings, the top 32 players ahead of the 2026 NFL season. Max, what else are you working on, my man, that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so I still host a college football show with Dalton Watson. We're going to go check out Preferred Walk on YouTube or anywhere you're getting podcasts. And then, yeah, some more articles coming out on PFF very soon covering both the NFL and college football.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, college football related. Is my guy there at Alabama, Kalen DeBoer, is he going to get it done this year? Is he going to figure things out, or is this going to be another one of those head-scratching seasons?
Man, I'm kind of hesitant on them this year. There's just so many new pieces on this roster that, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they go 8-4 this year. And I know Alabama fans are never going to be happy with that, but yeah, I'm not picking Alabama to make the playoff this year. They've lost so many pieces from last year's team, and a lot of the guys that they're having to replace them are very inexperienced players too. So they're a very weird team because all the players are coming in are very talented. Like the quarterback Keelan Russell was the number 2 player out of high school. He could very easily be a superstar immediately, but we just don't know yet. So it's kind of a unique case where I don't really know what to expect from Alabama, and in that case, I usually don't pick them to make the playoffs. So yeah, I think this could be a year where Alabama misses the playoff this year.
Yep, so I'll be scratching my head again. That's what you're saying. I'll be scratching my head, wondering what the hell happened while I'm trying to yell out Roll Tide. Well, Max, great stuff as always, man. Thanks so much for giving us some time. We definitely appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Good stuff right there. Max Chadwick, PFF at CFB, Max Chadwick on Twitter. You can check him out. And, yeah, that's the most encouraging thing about the offensive line. It's not like Seattle's offensive line was the top notch of the top notch. They weren't the number one, offensive line in the league. And, again, you could take Pro Football Focus for what it's worth. I like to kind of check the box and go based off my eye. But then, okay, what are they saying too? Just like the double check. It's, just kind of, am I close here? Oh, okay, we're kind of in the same ballpark. Maybe I somewhat know what I'm talking about. Maybe I don't. Whatever. It's just, it's a check mark for me. And, the fact that what he said about Clint Kubiak and the way that they run their offense and sets up players in the best position, that kind of goes back to the conversation that we were having even about the wide receiver position. Right? I mean, we could clip that soundbite and run it back. He literally just said Clint Kubiak's offense sets up the players to maximize their skill set. And I'm paraphrasing here, but you understand what I'm saying. So that, to me, is a positive as far as I'm concerned. Real quick, and I want to go back to this before I don't want to forget about it and get too far away. Sean, and I always appreciate Sean's text. I really do, because he challenges us, and that's good. I like being challenged. That's cool. He said, when I say bums, I'm talking about people who badmouth the Raiders. I'm not directly calling everyone bums. Now you're making me out to be an a-hole. That's not the case. I never said the exact guy you were talking to was a bum. All right, no, that's fine. And Sean, I don't want you to ever think I think that you're an a-hole or trying to make you seem like that. I would never do that. Just like I would defend you if someone texted in and was like, hey, that Sean guy's a bum, I would say, hey, man, don't be disrespectful, right? We can have a conversation without slanging mud up against the wall. Maybe that's, me being older. I don't know. But I just that's not my MO, right? I think we could have grown-up discussions without slanging stuff against the wall and mud and all that other stuff. And so I get it. Never would I ever try to make you sound like an a-hole. I'm just letting you know that I don't think that when people come on and they're not bad-mouthing the Raiders. Tyler wasn't bad-mouthing the Raiders. He said in his opinion, what the Raiders needed. Just like, in your opinion, what the Raiders need. You know what I mean? Just like in my opinion, what I don't think that they're going to – you know what I mean? Like, that's all it is. It's just our opinion. And just like everyone has one, right? I mean, you fill in the blanks. And that's fine. You might be right. I could be wrong. It is what it is. I just haven't seen the moves – I don't like to go off of my emotional feelings of what I think that the Raiders need to do every time. I like to go off of what I've seen, right, and what I've been around and what I've listened to, because I like to listen to what people say. And when I hear John Spytek or Clint Kubiak or anyone else describe what they're trying to do and the way they're trying to do it, I don't want to try and jump and say, oh, yeah, they're going to go make this big move, because it's easy to do that. And Raider Nation is so passionate, and Raider Nation is such a great fan base that you attach the Raiders' name to anything. And anyone, it makes it that much sexier. You know what I mean? Like, I could come out and be like, man, start pounding the table. Hey, Vita Vea's going to come to the Raiders. He wants to be on the West Coast, and the Raiders were his favorite team. I can make up whatever I want to, and it makes it that much juicier. I just wouldn't do that. Because, one, I haven't heard anything of that, and I haven't seen any movement like that. So that's all. And if Tyler comes on and says the Raiders need a number one wide receiver and he doesn't trust it, okay. Well, these guys have been wrong before. Just because he said it doesn't mean he's right. And it also doesn't mean he's wrong, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, never would I ever try to make you out to be an a-hole. I just don't mind a conversational disagreement, right? You're never going to get me yelling at you. You're never going to get me hanging up the phone on you. Right? I get texts all the time. I ain't calling because I get hung up on. That ain't this show. That ain't this show. Right? I live in the respectful world because it's all conversation. 702-365-9200. Speaking of conversation, we'll close out hour number 2 here from you. It's Raider Nation Radio 920.
First and foremost, how can you get better at your position? What can you digest assignment-wise? Can we trust you in the role the role that you're in? And then, how do you help us on special teams as well? I think Coach talked about that yesterday, and we all know that these young guys, they got to help in all phases of the game. So, that's all stuff we're looking at and evaluating.
You're listening to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
Andrew Janocko, Raiders offense coordinator, talking about evaluating young players, how they can fit in the offense. And, it's all fine and dandy that things look good right now. It's 2 days into training camp. Offense looked really good today. They looked really sharp, and that's good. There's going to be good days for the offense. There's going to be bad days for the offense. There'll be good days for the defense, bad days for defense. That's just what it is. You want to have those growing pains right now during training camp, so when the regular season rolls around, they're where they need to be, and they have the best 11 guys out there on both sides of the ball, and that's the ultimate goal. I threw it out there to you earlier today. What does it excite you about the Raiders offense that Clint Kubiak's going to be running? What are your expectations for it? And the reason I threw that out there is when you start thinking of Ben Johnson, when you start thinking of Liam Cohen, when you start thinking of Brian Schottenheimer, when you start thinking of these sharp offensive minds that are now head coaches around the league, you start wondering, okay, well, where's Clint Kubiak fit in that? How does, Clint Kubiak, get this offense really turned around from what it's been? How does he get it turned around, with the weapons that he has to his disposal right now? This thing is going to continue to evolve. Everything, we're not going to see the whole team turned over in one offseason and be a finished product. It's just not going to happen like that. It's not the microwave society, or the microwave impact where you put that bad boy in, put it on 60, and then all of a sudden, it's done. It beeps. or you take it out at 30 and you're good, and then you leave it on the microwave and you don't clear it. Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves. So, it's just not that. It's something that's going to take some time. I think we're going to see a big improvement from this team this year. And I think that we're also going to get to the end of the season and say, okay, that was a big improvement. That looked really good. I can see where they're going with this. Now they need defensive tackle. They need another defensive tackle. They need another wide receiver. They need another, whatever the case may be, offensive lineman. Right? I mean, that's how I think it's going to be. I think it's going to go where you're going to see a lot. There's going to be a lot that you like, and then there's going to see some areas, yeah, I like that, but this could be better, and this is how it needs to be improved, and this is how it can be improved. And that, to me, is what this year is all about, right? And so when you see 6, 7, 8 wins, even though it might not be exactly what you want it to be, you have a really good understanding. And Raider Nation is a smart fan base, right? So you have a great understanding of, okay, this is exactly how this team takes the next step. And that's what I believe the process is with this Raiders team. I believe what John Spivey and company are trying to do. They're being very patient with this whole process, and I think that's the right way to go. We'll hear from you as we kick off hour number 3 at 702-365-9200. It's Raider Nation Radio 920.
Max Crosby is healthy. He's energized. He's fired up. Still one of those special ones in terms of rushing the passer and just being a terror on the defensive side. And he is a tone setter. Everything starts and it stops with Max Crosby. He gets everyone going. And with him being at his best and looking at some of the new additions they've made in the second level positions, at the off-ball linebacker position and in the secondary, this defense should be much improved as well.
Right now, we're doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
As we kick off hour number 3 of the show, we hear Bryant McFadden from CBS Sports talking about Max. He was out there yesterday at training camp observing and talking to players and talking to Ryan Hogue, who, he knows him really well, and so they were chopping it up for a while, and Brian McFadden did it for quite a while in the National Football League. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's looking at. It's always good to hear from guys like that, but you hear what he had to say about Max Crosby, and as Max spoke to us yesterday, he's over the whole trade, no trade, but at the same time, he likes to be doubted, right? And what that basically means is, I'm going for it this year. I'm getting after it this year, in a major way. I got something to prove. People doubt me. Okay, cool. Let me show them how much they definitely should not doubt me at all. So as you can tell, when we do football right, we're going to do football right, focus in on the defense here on Necessary Roughness, Raider Nation Radio 920. And the way that we're going to focus in on the defense is on what Robbie Leonard had to say. We had a chance to catch up with him earlier today. Caught up with a handful of players, but, each and every day we get a coach. Today was defensive coordinator Robbie Leonard. It'll be great to catch up with the OC, Andrew Janocko, each and every week. It'll be great to catch up with Rob Leonard each and every week. But here he is, just a couple minutes of what he has to say about players playing fast, identity of the defense, and what I'm always talking about, turnovers.
You mentioned in OTAs and mandatory minicamp, if you're going to make a mistake, make it fast.
Yeah.
Have you seen those guys reciprocate that and understand that?
I have for the most part. It's like, you want them to coach, you want them to feel comfortable. This is the time for mistakes. And we talk about, in the off season was a lot of what I would call lecture of like, these are our techniques and this is exactly what we're asking for. But, now I'm trying to press, player-led defense. I want them to have control, confidence to get in and out of whatever we're doing out there and make a decision. And we'll talk about, as you learn, the strengths and weaknesses of the decision you made, why we're trying to do that. I think the why is a big thing that we're emphasizing right now.
Obviously, you're still finding the identity of the defense, but when people look at it at the end of camp, what do you want them to see?
I'll say it in the spring, I'll say it again. It's style of play. That's the red blinking meter. No scheme will save you in this league. If you're having MEs, if you're not playing hard, if you're not taking the ball away, those are like the red blinking meter that something's not right. Or you're doing too much, or guys can't do what you're asking. And so as long as the execution and the effort and the fundamentals are right, then you're headed in the right direction. But, that's kind of home base for me. So a style of play. I said style of play overall else. It's not really, that's the truth.
You mentioned turnovers and how important getting turnovers are. You brought in a lot of guys that have a history of getting turnovers. How important is that kind of see ball, get ball, and it's natural instinct?
Yeah, ball skills. Like you guys all know guys that can catch and guys that can't, right? So, that's a natural thing, and that's part of my, they can do it, and then we track it, like how much ball production we have today. And again, I go back to the red blinking meter. If we didn't have any PBUs, batted balls, interceptions, like it's, what do we got to do to fix it?
So there was Robbie Leonard, just a couple minutes of what he had to say. He probably met with us for about 10 minutes, and I don't know what it is, but apparently anytime I talk, the tractor wants to go by. The tractor that's treating the field, apparently it decides that it's important to ride by right when Robbie Leonard's either answering my question or I'm asking my question. But that's what happens. Podium action outside, it's fine. It's something that we could deal with, not a problem. But he talked about the identity of that defense. He talked about flying around, and even if you're going to make a mistake fast. Make a mistake fast, right? You could teach the nuances of the mistake and how to clean that up, but you can't teach speed. And if you're going 100 miles an hour, that's what you need to do. Like you said, make a mistake going fast, right? If you're out there thinking, which is it's funny because we've been talking about offense today. If you're out there thinking, you're going to make mistakes. And I personally felt like Fernando Mendoza was thinking yesterday. Today, he didn't look like he was thinking. Matter of fact, there was a couple plays and passes that Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza made that got through to the intended target through the wide receiver, and it was really good coverage and defense. Really good. It just was a better offensive play. I matter of fact, spent a lot of time with Sam Gordon from the RJ, the Las Vegas Review-Journal today, and we were just like, wow, that ball got through? Because it just looked like the DB or the linebacker or whoever was in position to make a play, and it for some reason it just got through. It was a better pass, it was a better pitch and catch. But as long as those guys are going out there and they're giving that kind of effort, knowing what they're capable of doing, not trying to do too much. Like, I don't want to make it sound like, you just go fly around and get reckless, right? You obviously have to do what you're supposed to do it fast, but in the scheme of what you're supposed to be, attacking. Just like Max said earlier when the edge wasn't set. That's a fundamental breakdown, right? You want to play fast, but you have to do your job. So these are the days that these kind of mistakes will happen. But, this defense is something that's intriguing. I mentioned it as we've been talking about offense throughout the course of the show, and, of course, we'll get back to that at 702-365-9200, calls and text. If the offense does their job, it's going to help the defense at least be fresh and get an opportunity. And then if they make some plays, like you heard Robbie Leonard, right, get some turnovers. They didn't bring in all these guys that, were ball hawks in college for no reason. It wasn't accidental. Oh, hey, Jamal McCoy has ball skills. Oh, Trayden Stukes has ball skills. Dalton Johnson. Oh, Hezekiah Masses. Like, that didn't happen on accident. That was something that they focused in on because, one, they just haven't had it. And if the offense actually has a lead once in a while, teams will have to go ahead and throw the ball, giving the Raiders opportunity to get interceptions. Or the quarterback's going to have to hold the ball, giving the Raiders opportunity to get a strip sack. Giving Max Crosby an opportunity to cause a fumble. Malcolm Kuntz an opportunity to cause a fumble. Like, it's so funny because we know that football is the ultimate team sport, but this isn't that difficult as far as just breaking it down. Now, obviously, it's difficult to go out there and do it, but it's not that difficult to break it down on what needs to happen. The offense needs to do their part. The defense needs to do their part. They don't have to be number one at anything to be a really good team. They don't. They just have to be good. They have to be good and complementary. And not one unit has to carry the other unit because the other unit's not worth the salt. Because once they're able to score some points consistently, then the defense can take a couple more chances. Once the defense can get the ball back and create some turnovers, then the offense can open up a little bit more. You know what I mean? It goes hand in hand. And so I'm really interested to see how Robbie Leonard puts this defense together, how all these guys come together, how these young dudes along the defensive line, Tonka Hemingway today, got involved early with the first-team defense. I think that's a positive. Second-year guy running with the first-team defense. Let me say that again. Right? I think a lot of us had high hopes for Tonka Hemingway. Looks like they're pretty excited about what he can do. I talked about Zeke Masses already. He was in and out with the ones and twos. Still super early in the process because there are no pads. But wanted to focus in on the defense for a hot minute. That's how we do football right.
Doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke. Doing car care right.
He said, what up, Q? I think acquiring difference makers, whether it be through the draft, free agency, or trade, is always a good move, and it makes sense to me. Also, wide receiver 1 and defensive tackle are both definitely big needs in my opinion, although I wouldn't use term desperate either. I say bring in all the best talent you can at the position and may the cream rise to the top. By the way, what was the word of the day, my guys? I missed that. Ari, what was the word of the day?
Country.
Why you say it like that?
Put some stake because someone said big country.
Someone's going to spell it wrong now because you said it like that.
I've seen plenty already. Country, Country, and someone put something about Bryant Reeves, big country Bryant Reeves. So I like that.
Oh yeah, I remember that. The word of the day is country.
There you go.
Ari's up there, country. I don't know what that was. That was a terrible impersonation.
Yeah,
I don't know what you were doing. That was an East Coast country impersonation.
That's fair.
That was a Philadelphia-based country impersonation. Figure that one out. Yeah. Unbelievable.
It's hard to concentrate sometimes when there are people staring at you from outside the window. So
you ain't gonna tell them about themselves. You ain't gonna tell them about themselves. Tell them to come in so I can tell them about themselves.
That's all
right. We'll have a party in the studio.
It's already a party with you and I. But yes, country, Country.
Rob also said, I'm excited for the play-action game, something we haven't seen and done the last few years. Also, can you give my daughter, Selena Rose, a shout-out? She's 5 and listens to the station with me. Oh, man, we're corrupting her early. Selena, shout out to you. Selena Rose, shout out to you. We definitely appreciate you listening with your pops, man. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. Selena, we're going to introduce you to somebody. This is Uncle Mitch. Welcome to the show. Money Mitch in New Jersey. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Q, I'll give you Uncle. How you doing? All right. First of all, that line was said by Burt Reynolds, playing a high school coach of the character Doug Heffernan, played by Kevin James, telling stories to two football players on the football team, obviously, about how he had a few games. And Burt was saying that he ran the ball like he was mad at the grass. And by the way, Burt Reynolds also had a picture of him from his Florida days on the wall, a real photo of Burt Reynolds. And if it wasn't, technology wasn't as good, surgeries, I think he would have continued his football career. It wasn't for his knee injury. Had to have better doctors in those days. Some doctors are not so good today. You still have to be careful.
For
I'll
sure.
give you another tidbit,
right.
Uncle Mitch. I'm losing the money making Meineke there because, I'm supporting but I don't mind. You know who's the first player to ever break a backboard in the NBA? He was also a two-sport star, drafted by the Bears also as third spot. He was a pretty good actor himself. I've given you a lot. He's from Brooklyn. Neil, I was thinking, I saw the episode of Seinfeld the other day. So about George finds a pair of suitcases, and they think he's from the Midwest or somewhere there. The girl says to her, New York is going to eat you up. I thought about you, Q. But anyway, you know who this,
Are we talking about Chocolate Thunder?
No, Chuck Connors. Your name is Kevin Connors from Brooklyn.
Oh, my
Chuck
bad.
Connors. He played for the Boston Celtics. 6'6" was pretty tall back then.
All right. What year was that?
Dodgers, Cubs. What's that?
What year was that?
The Rifleman. He played the Rifleman. That was the main thing.
What year was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I know. My daughter says I gotta get my hearing checked, which I'm going in about 2 weeks.
Agreed.
It's gonna be an hour. You think I can stand still for an hour? Can I listen to my Dodgers sports talk station? I'm a legend over there too. I'm sorry. Oh.
It's 1946,
an hour.
everyone.
I have to sit through it here and I'm thinking to myself, was I supposed to hear something? Was that something I heard?
Yes.
Was that in my head? Q was calling me Money Mitch. Q's telling me I go in 8 different directions. He calls me an octopus. Money Making Mitch, Uncle Mitch. I don't know what name to pick. Was that, I think I heard it sound. I'm sorry.
I'm done. Oh, man. You're too much for me, man. You're too much, Uncle Mitch.
Chuck Connors, what an athlete. And
Yeah.
I think he was a smoker. But he played a couple of years. I think only 1 or 2 years with the Celtics. Play Dodgers. Couldn't really beat out Gil Hodges, I believe. Or Jackie Robinson, if you heard of him, right? And he went over with the Cubs. And then I guess he took it back and, he had the looks. His real name is Kevin Connors, which I had one of my best friends was named Kevin Connors. Why he called today?
Yeah, what was the point of the call? You lost me, brother. You done lost me a long time ago, man. You done taken the L train around the corner, and I jumped off while that bad boy was still rolling.
Well, how did I know that you'd never seen King of Queens, Chuck Connors, and Rifleman or Seinfeld? I just took a lucky guess.
I mean, it was 1946, Mitch. I wasn't even thought of at that point.
Mitch wasn't even.
Neither was I, and don't you dare. Anyway, I think they have a rule in FedEx. I think they must have caused you. If you're on the clock, if you're not on lunch, don't be talking and do your own thing. Now they have GPS. They track you down while you went off your route. You weren't on lunch at this time, and I'm looking forward to our offense. Back to the Raiders, not the Oakland Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders. It's natural grass, right? So you say, I want to see Washington, I want to see Ashton Genty running like they're mad at the grass. I think our quarterbacks, deeper wide receivers, a little concerned just with the wide receivers, but we'll take one thing at a time, one game at a time, brother.
There you go.
I love you. Ari, love you guys. Fight on. Go USC. Go Raiders.
There it is. There it is. Hey, man, look, I understood everything you just said, that last line or two. Everything else after that, I literally jumped off the train while it was still moving. I actually have done that before, but that's a whole nother conversation. And I do think that they did change some rules in FedEx and some because of me. I definitely do believe that was the case. I know that wait, what do they have? I believe they still have – who said that there was some new technology that they have on trucks? And I do think it's because at least where I was at, which was Tulare, California, I was over there in Fresno was where the hub was. But I used to always take long breaks. Like I'd go to the pizza spot and park the truck, kind of hide it a little bit, and because I'd already be further ahead, so I just go and kick it, have some pizza, hang out, right, talk with my buddies. I could never work for UPS. because UPS was the guys that they're always moving fast. They're always like boom, boom. They're always going. You know, sometimes our UPS guy that comes in our neighborhood, he'll be delivering at like 8 o'clock at night. Man, by 8, I was long done. I wasn't delivering past 6. these guys, they hustle. I used to have a buddy. All of us delivery guys are we're always good friends on the route, right? And so he used to always say to me, Q, how come you never tuck your shirt in? Q, how come you're always walking, you're never running? I said, brother, they don't pay me enough to move like you. and the shirt that you wear and the shorts that you wear are way too tight. I never would even wear shorts. I don't care how hot it is. Like, it's blazing hot right here in Vegas. I wouldn't wear those FedEx shorts at all to save my life. I just had some baggy pants. I just had to chalk it up because those damn shorts were way too short. I could not get down like that. So they used to always question me, oh, Q, your company lets you have facial hair? I was like, look, man, it is what it is, brother. I'm going to, so it was so many different rules that they had. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't qualify for your job. I gotta stick over here, FedEx Ground, baby. That's the company of the people.
Really? I didn't realize it was so serious.
Space. No. These guys they'll run, man. Those dudes, I always used to tell them, man, I said, y'all act like you in class, right? You're at school when the bell's about to ring, and you're like, oh, got to get to class, got to get to Spanish. Mr. Cepeda's going to get mad at me if I don't get there on time. And I was like, man, Mr. Cepeda's going to be mad at you anyway. So just get there when you get there, right? I always was taking my time. I'd hang out, talk. I'd get to the office, whatever office it was, and I'd be out there chopping it up. I had a manager come out one day and was like, Q, I love you, but you got to go. you ain't allowing none of us to work. And I was like, well, that's a you guys thing, man. I'm just entertaining.
Man
that's
of the
all.
people.
I'm a man of the people.
Gotta have some customer service, professionalism.
When LeBron made the decision, I was doing my route that day. The decision the first time when he decided to take his talent to South Beach all those years ago. Okay. I was on my route, and it was a wheelchair delivery or a wheelchair company there in Tulare. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like medical supplies. So I used to always drop wheelchairs off over there, and I know the people, and they are really cool. So I used to talk to them because, shocking, I talk to everybody. So I remember pulling into the driveway, and normally I turned the truck off and everything. But I think my mom had just texted me and told me that LeBron had made the decision to go to South Beach, and someone else was talking. So I walked in, so I just pulled the e-brake, and I put it in neutral. And then I walked in, then I was like, yeah, LeBron just decided to go to South Beach. So we started chopping it up. Next thing I know, I hear a horn honking. My FedEx truck had rolled into the middle of the street. It had rolled backwards because I had pulled the e-brake, and it didn't hold it. Mm-hmm. So it rolled into the middle of the street, and it's like almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Tulare, California. And I promise you, it hit nothing. It was just sitting in the middle of the street, idling, and everyone's honking like, why is there a FedEx truck in the middle of the street? Because my dumb self didn't turn it off and didn't put it in park. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to run in real quick. It's only going to be a second.
You're so lucky.
My heart went through my chest. I just knew I was done. I was like, oh, man, they're going to fire me. They're going to take me to jail. They're going to charge me with something. I'm going to get sued by someone. Like, I was thinking all the worst. It hit nothing.
Those are all true, I think.
No, I'm serious.
I mean, it had it.
But it hit nothing. Man. It just literally sat there in the middle of the road. I was like, oh, my God. I went outside. I was like, where's my truck?
Dude,
I can laugh at it now.
Yes.
I can laugh at it now. But, man, I'm sweating thinking about it now.
I was sweating the whole time you said it until you literally clarified that nothing happened. It didn't hit anybody, and it just sat there. That's
it was so bad.
But just like many lessons in life, I guarantee you didn't do something similar to that. Ever.
Oh, no.
You got so lucky, yeah. Those are the best kind of lessons when you potentially had a very catastrophic thing happen, but it didn't happen, and so now you know, okay, I will never do that. I don't want to see that.
Hey, man. Hey, I'm telling you, you want to talk about panic, brother. Panic was going through my veins.
What year was this, by the way, ish?
2010.
And see,
because 2010.
The beauty of this is social media was totally rampant, but I don't know if people were not every single last moment was captured by it. So I guess maybe you didn't get called out.
No, I didn't get any of that. I wasn't on Twitter at the time.
Yes,
none of that stuff. So I was good. Matter of fact, I used to laugh at Twitter, and then I ended up moving to Texas because I only had that job for a little bit longer, and I moved to Texas to pick radio back up, and then Twitter became a thing.
Good decision.
Right. Yeah. I realized that delivering probably wasn't in my future for long.
You found
something was bound to go wrong.
What we do.
But yeah.
Just like the Raiders, you found what you're great at, and you utilized it.
I did talk to my guy Blas, this dude named Blas. He was in charge of the Tulare County School District. He used to work at the warehouse. He might still work at the warehouse, but he's a big Raider fan. See, it all comes full circle. I'm bringing it all back. He big time Raider fan. He had this incredible Raider tattoo on his arm, and I used to stop there all the time, and I would just chop it up. He would say, "Oh, hey man, I need the latest Raider news. Let me know." We break down the game and whatever, and hey, what do you think about this player? And so we literally would go back and forth. And my boss, I can't tell you how many times my boss drove by and would see my truck just sitting there. It's like, and all he'd do is drive by and put his hands up, like, "What are you doing?" And then finally he stopped. He's like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I was like, "You see what I'm doing? You pass by every day. I'm talking to my guy about the Raiders." And this guy, Albert, he was a Rams fan, so he didn't like it when I was talking Raiders. But he's like, "Oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about. That's the Rams. I'm a Rams fan." I was like, "Oh, man, kick rocks." So there you go. So anyone who lives in and around Tulare and used to see a FedEx truck maybe parked FedEx ground, maybe parked quite a long time, that would probably be mine. Used to deliver to the outlets and everything out there. I had the whole city. I literally did the whole city because the city's not huge. So I literally covered the whole city.
Man.
And, it was pretty wild.
It's a great gig, though, I think. For others.
It was cool. I met a lot of people, Again, shocking. I've never met a stranger, so I go in and talk to everybody. Huh. So
that's what you want in a delivery person. I don't know what their problem with you was.
The only time that I turned and went the other way quickly was when there was a dog around. When there was a dog, I'd roll up to my spot, open up the window, drop the package out, and keep it pushing. No need for signature. I got you. I know the initials. We're good. That's one thing that you have to do. You have to make sure you do that. You have to get a signature. I used to just sign it for people. I'd be like, "Oh, don't worry, I got it." And so I'd sign it all the time. Just put their initials, or I didn't want to take a package back, so I'd hide it behind the bushes. Then I'd send them a text. I'd be like, "Hey, I hid your packages behind these bushes. Just go pick them up. I signed for them already. It's all good."
I'm all over that. I'd be like, "Man, thank you so much," because sometimes you get into that situation, you don't know when the packages come in and you're not there. And
we used to have guys that like they owned businesses and they knew that their package was coming in. Have you ever estimated like just knew that you were going to get something in the mail and you wanted it really bad? They would hit me up and be like, "Hey, where are you going to be at 9:00? I'll stop by you to get my package." I'd be like, "All right, cool." So I'd sit over there at like the coffee shop and just kick it. And they come to me.
Would be nice too.
Beep 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 beep. Yeah, Oh, hey man, again, man of the people.
Nice.
And then look what happens. Look what happens. Blame all this on Money Mitch. Sir Whiskey Ray said, "What's up, Q? Happy Thursday, gentlemen. Loving today's topic. Here I go. What gets me pumped is the opportunity to control the clock on offense. The magic number is 38. What I mean is that if we can average 38 minutes on offense, we'll win consistently with Kubiak's offense. Most importantly, keep our defense fresh. That's what gets me hyped for the upcoming season. Thanks as always. Appreciate it. Sir Whiskey Ray." Yeah, that's 38 minutes. That should be something that I know off the top of my head, but I don't. Let me look real quick. Hold on. I got you, Sir Whiskey Ray. They averaged possession 28 minutes. So 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes a game. 10 more minutes a game is what Sir Whiskey Ray is saying that the Raiders need to do. Average 10 more minutes.
It says here top ball control teams typically average around 33 minutes per game. So even if we're close to that.
Okay, so there you go. That's that. Then 38 is way too much.
Hey,
there was a number, and I forget we talked about it on the show. There was a number. Wasn't it 70? Was it 70? Damn, I forget. I should have wrote it down. Remember, we talked about it, I want to say a year ago, maybe even two, where if you have – it was a number of rushes. It was a number of rushes or total plays. I'll do the research. I can't remember, but I want to say it was like a number 70, where if you hit this certain number, then I hate that I'm screwing up the whole number, but it was. You don't remember that at all?
It's the number 70 sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm not quite piecing.
I just don't remember what it was. The context was it was a certain stat that if you hit this certain this certain number.
Should I text Lindsey Rhodes or Cynthia Freeland? Because that seems like a numbers
No,
game.
my guy Vegas just said 53 was the number. I just don't remember the exact context. I hate that I can't remember that. Huh. Dang it. I will remember it. I'll figure it out. I'll number of plays, 53 number of plays. No, it was something else. It was a combination. It was a certain amount of run plays and something else. And I just don't remember exactly what the breakdown was. I want to who said it? Dang it. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. We'll figure it out. 702-365-9200. Hit us up if you remember what the hell I'm talking about, because I don't remember the exact context, and I hate that I don't. But it was something that had to do, like Jess said, 53, the number 53. I thought it was 70. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we'll come back. We'll hear from you. We'll do football right. We'll do a whole lot of everything. We'll do it next year on Raider Nation Radio 920.
It's time to flush it. Brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing.
Shout out to Moonlight Plumbing. Got to give them a lot of props. MoonlightPlumbing.Vegas. They are the ones that make this happen. There's no job that's too big or too small for Moonlight. Their services range from residential leaky faucet repair, water heater replacement, commercial plumbing, and a whole lot more. 702-355-3938. And it's so funny because I always say that there's never anything that's not flushable. Now, some will disagree. Some will say, hey, man, I've been to that public restroom. I've seen some things that aren't really flushable that's been tried to be flushed. I literally had something that I was going to flush. There was a performance that I wanted to flush. But as me and Ari started thinking about the last 10 minutes of the show and me trying to figure out what the hell I was talking about and what number I was talking about and how – it was some math problem, and I don't know what it was. I want to say it either equaled 53 or 70, but I don't know. And me and Ari are literally trying to rack our brain on figuring out what it was. And I'm like, we just did some kind of, fact-finding mission on the air. We're up there brainstorming on the air, live in the show. It's like, hey, everyone listening, don't mind us. We're going to work on something on our own here. Don't worry about us. We'll get back to regular scheduled programming later because we got to figure out what the hell Q's trying to talk about. I realize the only thing that needs to be flushed is that. So, Ari, my apologies. I'll flush the fact that I couldn't figure out what the hell I was trying to talk about. It would have made sense if I could have come up with it, but this is the one time that it escaped me. And it's funny because we got a bunch of texts like Sir Whiskey Ray. Oh, wait, I think it was the number of offensive plays running a game. I do remember the conversation from last year, but I don't recall the numbers. And then we got one from Brent. It was total plays. I remember we were averaging like barely 50 snaps. Like, I'm getting Jess texting me. It was 53. It's so funny. We all recall the conversation, but none of us actually recall the conversation. Like, we don't really know what the hell we're talking about. So, I don't think that this is a situation where I should be flushed more times than I have been, but I've already been flushed twice now. So I'll go ahead and, I'll go ahead and take that L. So, this one's on me.
I would like to share this, and I would like AI and Google search to share this flushing with us, though, as well.
How are we going to flush the computer?
Because we did not get the answer. We spent all the time, and we got the answer.
Well, it's supposed to be in the computer between our ears, yeah, and it's there. I just don't know where.
Well, I'll take some L here, too.
All right, there you go. So, like, nobody could escape being flushed.
By the way,
literally, I was going to flush a baseball game. It was going to be the Tigers and the Orioles pull off the team's biggest comeback in 17 years. But who wants to talk about the 17-year, drought when you're talking about a bad performance by me? So I don't mind go ahead and taking that L. So that flushing was brought to you, as always, by Moonlight Plumbing. We do appreciate them, moonlightplumbing.vegas. And, again, it just proves anyone can get flushed or any conversation can get flushed. And that is how you do that there.
Flush It is brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing. Affordable, dependable plumbing professionals serving Las Vegas since 2016. We mean business.
We need business as well. And as a matter of fact, man, someone save us from ourselves. 702-365-9200. I can always count on Scott. Scott in San Carlos will save us from ourselves. Scott, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, don't flush me, Q.
I won't. I got flushed. I'm not flushing you. You're good.
All right, good, man. I'll be honest, I just tuned in, so I'm not sure what your question is for today, but which I'm happy to answer if you want to throw it to me. But, I don't think I've been on your airwaves here for a couple of weeks without talking about my guy, Malik Benson.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to at least call in and touch base because I'm telling you, man, you heard it here first. Right after the draft, I was like, don't sleep on him. And from everything I'm reading, and of course I don't know, I'm not there, but from everything I'm reading, he's still hanging in there, maybe even to crack the starting, 3 or 4 as a wideout. So that's the main reason I was calling back is I've been a fan of this kid ever since he got to Oregon, and really happy we got him as late as we did. And like I said, it's been a couple weeks. I promised I wouldn't call every week and say his name, but it's been a couple weeks, so I thought I got to give him a call and give him a shout-out.
No, that's cool. And let me throw the question at you real quick. I've been talking about the offense, and you're talking about Benson, so we can rock with it. I said, what is it that excites you about this Raiders offense that's ran by Klint Kubiak? What are your expectations for it?
Oh, well, that's an easy one. There are two things I'd say. One, all last year they kept talking about getting more snaps and getting more two tight end sets. And everything I've seen from Kubiak, I think that's actually going to happen. And I think they were ignoring a potential real strength of the team by not getting those two guys on the field as often as I think they could have. I know Mayer was hurt, but and obviously, Brock was beat up too, so that might have something to do with it. But that's something I'm definitely looking forward to. And then the second thing I'd say is 1A is a real commitment to the run game.
Yes.
The other day you were talking with somebody, you were talking about it's 3-1. We're all screaming at the TV going, just run it, just give it to Genty.
Yeah.
I mean, again, as an Oregon fan, I saw Genty just shove it down our throat. And I just feel like those are the two things. One would be more two tight end and big sets and more action out of Michael Mayer. And then the second thing would be a real commitment to the run game.
There it is. Hey, man, I knew Scott could save us from ourselves. Great calls. Great to hear from you. And you can call every day if you want to talk about Malik Benson. That's all good. Nothing wrong with that because, again, I do think he has an opportunity. You know what I've seen from him so far? And this is early on in training camp, so let's not, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But it seems like that they're showing him the same attention that the Raiders showed Dante Thornton Jr. last year. And if you remember back in training camp, and I do remember this, that he was getting a lot of attention. And I remember talking about, man, this could be – I used to call him DK Metcalf without the muscles, right, because he had the size, he had the speed, and I felt like he was going to be similar to what DK Metcalf, the role he played in Seattle with Pete Carroll there. He was that guy that he didn't have – 85 catches a season, but he made big plays. And if you go back and look at Dante Thornton Jr., also a guy that was at Oregon and then Tennessee, he was averaging like 25 yards per catch. I mean, it's always big plays from him. So early on in training camp, the preseason, hell, even the regular season, Dante, he had some attention. He had, Geno Smith's eye, and Geno was trying to hit him. I still remember that sliding catch he made against New England week 1. Right, I remember that was huge. That really helped seal the deal for the Raiders to get that victory in New England. And then it just started to tail off. And I'm not saying it's going to happen to Malik, but he's getting attention and getting some hype similar to what Dante was last year. I'm interested to see, and it's funny, me and I guess Sam Gordon were talking a lot today and watching and observing practice, and there was a time when I saw 19 out there with the ones, and I was like, oh, Malik Benson's running with the ones. And then I realized, oh, that was 9. Speedy Naylor is number 9. So I looked, and he was on the far side of the field. So I looked over at Sam and said, well, that's going to be fun all training camp, right? Confusing 9 and 19. Oh, 9's out there. Oh, no, 19's out there. No, 19's out there. No, 9's out there. So that's going to be something to pay attention to just because of the number. But he is a guy that I do think is going to get plenty of attention. I really do. I think that, he's a guy that can find his way onto the field if for no other reason, special teams, and then whatever he could develop as a wide receiver. And in OTAs and mandatory minicamp, I know it looked like he had a pretty good rapport with both Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza because the one thing the Raiders have been doing a really good job with is mixing these guys up. It's not like Trey Tucker or Jalen Naylor or Malik Benson are only running with one specific group. They've been mixing it up a lot. And I guess they've been mixing up a lot for what they can. It's only been a couple days. But this is the beauty of training camp. You figure out what works, and you figure out what doesn't work. It's almost like doing overnight radio. you figure out what's good when nobody's listening, right? Or you think no one's listening. So if you make a mistake, it's not a big deal. It's like that. You make mistakes in training camp. It's not a big deal, right? This is the time to make mistakes. You want to make mistakes right now, right? Because then as long as you make the mistakes and you're able to correct them, you don't make those mistakes when it counts. You don't make those mistakes in the regular season. You don't make those mistakes on 3rd and 8 where you need to get a first down to extend the drive to possibly come back and win the game. You don't make that mistake. That's what they're trying to do right now. Get all the mistakes out of you. It's never going to be perfect. Never. No matter how much you think you're prepared, no matter how much you've worked your tail off, no matter how healthy you are, it's always going to be something that's going to pop up, right? That's just the nature of the beast. But if you could limit the mistakes and really limit making the same mistake twice, every single one of the coaches in that building will tell you that. These guys, they show their growth by limiting the mistakes and limiting the mistakes that they do twice. That's the biggest key. You can't grow, or like, Kirk Morrison told us not too long ago, right? I mean, as you learn more, you can put more on your plate. But you can't get more on your plate until you master what's already on your plate. So you've got to be able to handle this before you can, hey, give me more, feed me. You can't even finish that. You got to be able to finish what's in front of you and be able to master what's in front of you before all of a sudden you can absorb some more. It's like the first time that me and Lil Q went to Raising Cane's and he wasn't really a Lil Q anymore. I think he had came back from college already for 1 year. And he ordered, what's the big combo there, right? They have the box combo, but then it was the other one with like 6.
Caniac?
So, yeah, it's like six fingers in it. Because I always get the box, right? I always get the box combo, which is 4. And that's good for me, right? Yep. So he's like, oh, Dad, I need to get the Caniac. I was like, you ain't going to eat that. He looked at me and was like, what?
Dad, look at me.
Yeah, I was like, you ain't going to eat that, right? That's too much for you. He said, okay. And then I said, all right, I'm going to order it then. And next thing I know, it was gone. I was like, wait, what? Like, Dad, I'm like 6'4". Just because you're little. He's like, just because you still call me Lil Q doesn't mean I actually am little. Like, that's you. I'm 6'4", you're 5'11". Put some hair on your chest, old man. But the first time he did this, when I realized, he can handle more on his plate. That's the key. These young guys, the Bensons, the Thorntons, the Besh, all right, they can handle what's on their plate right now. Can they get more? But you can't get more until you can handle what they have in front of you right now and limit those mistakes making them twice. All right, real quick, are we till 5 or are we till 4:45?
The latter, so 4:45, yeah. So you will hear music in 30 seconds.
Well, I'm glad I do these things, right? Look. I had no idea. I was about to say, hey, we'll come back, we'll close out, we'll hear from you.
I thought you were going to say, hey, we'll spend the next 10 minutes trying to figure out that stat. But
no, I'm going to figure out that stat tonight.
I know you will.
Somehow tonight, I'm going to figure it out and figure out where I came up with it, where somebody told me or I heard someone talking about it. And I don't know if it was Chris Canty. I don't know if it was John Harbaugh. And that's a big range, right? That's not even close. But it was somebody, and it made a lot of sense. And when you go back and run the numbers, I want to say it was total snaps, run plays. I know the run game was involved in it, and the total amount of snaps was involved in it, and I thought the number had to equal 70.
I've got, real quick, an NFL offense averages about 63 total plays, snaps per game, with rushing plays typically accounting for roughly 40 to 45%. That's all I got.
I feel like it was something close to the extent of total amount of plays plus the number of running plays that you have. So if I don't know what it was. I'll figure it out.
We'll get there.
No, I will. Tomorrow, I will have that number. I don't know what it is, but I will come up with the number, and I'll figure out, and it will make sense. I promise you. We got Aviators baseball coming up right here, coming up next here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Have a great night.